that they have to work the hours that they do it's a colossal effort, and the driver has it pretty easy really, with a masseur and a physio and a motorhome and 1 hour on and 2 hours off. They're at it full time. And
you've got a great lineup. See John Martin with you this year. I mean, what's it like having someone like him as part of the 4-driver lineup?
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's really quick, got a good head on him. I think if he gets the brakes, he'll go a long way. And he's the right balance about it all. Intelligent. He's exactly what you want.
Great. Well, thanks for talking to us. Great effort in qualifying. It's obviously the second year in a row this car's been on pole. What do you think the key is to getting this to the end and hopefully taking a victory?
Look.
Let's hope you have some of it. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you. Bye.
So, right, well, we've got the first 4 now. Should we take a little wander a bit further down the back of the grid? Let's go and catch some of our other class runners. You can see the grid starting to clear now. So, nearing the start of the race, minutes away. We've got another Mosler here, 5th on the grid. This is the Top Cats Mosler. Oh, this is, oh, right, my old mate Freddie Hetherington's driving this car. Let's see if I can catch. Here he is. Right, let's get Freddie Hetherington. How are you, bud?
How's it going?
Now, we're actually going out live on TV. Can you believe
really?
it? Yeah, this is it.
Live
this is
time.
Martin Brundle, eat your heart out. Great to see you on the lineup. Yeah, you've taken a little bit of you've done some racing this year. Tell us about your season. Tell us what's brought you to the Britcar 24.
Well, we've been doing the British GT with Ginetta, and so we've just not really, obviously not much racing in British GT for a whole year. So we thought we'd come and do this, get some 24-hour experience, and see how it goes.
What are you making of the car? It's a bit of a brute, isn't it?
Oh, it's brilliant. Really, really enjoy driving it. It's a big beast. Can't really hustle it around as much as you'd like, but no, it's good.
And we've seen there's a big gap. Pole, the Aquila's got a bit of a margin on one lap, but then we've got a very closely, tightly packed grid over one lap. 24 hours is a much longer distance. What are you hoping to achieve out of this event? Is this a look into the GT world, or are you just looking to have some fun and hopefully get a good result?
Yeah, obviously I think for anyone, like Le Mans 24 hours is a great thing to look to do. So I thought I'd come and have a go at this and get some good 24 hours experience and see how we do. Get some night driving in and get some experience in that.
In terms of plans for next year, have you got any yet, or is it still early days?
No, not at the moment. We've just got a few options at the moment, just looking at what we're going to do, and we'll see what happens at the end of the year.
And how does this compare to the Ginetta that you've been obviously driving last year? Is it different kettle of fish altogether, or there's some similarities?
Oh, completely. It's a big car. There's you can't sort of hustle it around like a Ginetta. You can't sort of throw it into the corners. You've got to be really careful, really patient with it. Just let it do what it wants to do, really, and then take it from there. So yeah, not as much sort of aggression with it, just sort of a bit more patience.
Who's starting the race? Are you starting?
Henry's starting. I'm in 2. This is Henry.
Come on, Henry, come and have a chat with us.
Come on, chat, Henry. You just want to see us.
Yeah. He's suddenly gone all shy on us. So in terms of the driver lineup, it's a pretty impressive. I mean, we were just commenting that there aren't any weak drivers in this race, all the way down the grid. I mean, that's a great endorsement, isn't it, really, for Britcar? Yeah,
definitely. I think it's a really, really strong year this year. You see how many cars are on. At the front. Apart from the old Aquila, that's got a bit more pace over one lap, but whether or not I can do that for 24 hours is yet to be seen. But I think it's really, really close. I think it's going to be a corking race this year. Really, really good.
And is this your first 24-hour race?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I had my first bit of night driving last night, which I absolutely loved. Never done anything like that before. Sort of went out on track and thought this is mad, and then after a few laps you get into it, and you really get into a rhythm, and it's really, really good fun.
I mean, it's just the most stunning weekend as well, isn't it? It's usually you expect it to be wet, dark, miserable. How good is this?
I think this mini heatwave we've had sort of brought absolute wonders. Obviously last year I saw a bit of the pictures and the footage, and it looked absolutely horrendous. Sort of driving through the night, I think it was safety car for 3 hours because of the weather. So to have this is just phenomenal.
Fantastic. Well, Freddie, have a great one. We'll catch you no doubt throughout the night, and enjoy.
I'll see you later, Nick.
I just saw James Tucker walk past. Actually, it'd be nice to get a quick word with him. Should we go? Let's have a wander back down to the front of the grid and grab a bit of James. Adam, how long have we got to start the race? Any idea? No, me neither. All I know is that there are fewer people on the grid than there were about 10 minutes ago. So I think we've got about 20 minutes to go before the start. James is standing up by the pace car. It looks like everyone's kind of gearing up to get going. So let's go and have a quick word with James. It'll be very interesting to see what he's got to say. James Tucker, do you mind having a very, very quick word with us, live streaming on TV?
Yes.
What a fantastic atmosphere it is down here.
Yes, it is. What else can you say? I mean, it's a dream coming true. It'll take another couple of years, but this is going to be one of the biggest in the world one day.
Yeah, I mean, you're the man that's made this happen. I mean, how are you feeling about it? Is it a mixture of excitement and anticipation with the, minutes before the start of the race?
I think I'm getting the tingle, and the hair goes up on the back of the neck when the sun goes down and the lights come on. But that to me is the buzz. Spectators should really wait until that time of night before they think about going home, and let the kids see it, because they'll never forget it. It's fantastic.
And James, for those that haven't seen this event before, that are maybe watching now, what can we expect over the next 24 hours?
Engines blowing, 2,500 tyres being used, 100,000 litres of fuel, lots of tears, lots of sleep, people falling asleep, lots of hunger, people drinking lots of water because they need to in this weather. And at the end of it, absolute pure elation in finishing something so big, and the adrenaline will last in the bloods of all the drivers for the next week. It lasts a lot longer than sex.
Well, you couldn't have said it better. No, we'll talk to you again in 24 hours' time. We're up on the rostrum celebrating whoever wins this thing. Well, congratulations on a great event, and enjoy it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. And I think on that note, we're literally minutes away from the start of the race. Let's go back to Bruce. Take care. Cheers.
Walk away. She's running now. Amy tells me that car number 58 was pushed off the grid. It was here, but it's not anymore. So maybe it's in the pit lane. What pit garage should it be in? Oh, no idea. They're not very helpful, are they, ladies and gentlemen? Anyway, this is the unanswered question.
Brian, I think 58 should be in garage 2A.
Ah, right. That sounds more sensible. I'm going to ask Chris Hartley if he can hear me to investigate what is the problem for number 58, which is absent from the grid. It was pushed off, and we want to know the reason why. And I'm sure that Chris, at some stage, will come up with the answer for you, chaps. So I'm now going to start the long trek back up this exceedingly long grid. I know this face, and it's a Leslie, son of the late and much lamented David. How are you?
I'm very well.
How's your mum? I saw her hobbling on a stick.
Yeah, she's around today, just for a bit of a watch.
Hey, let's send her our love. We miss and remember David with great affection, and it's good to see you here because, you were born into a motor racing family. You didn't have a choice, did you?
No, not much of a choice.
Who are you working with now?
We're working with Butler Motorsport just for this weekend.
Oh, right.
Got a text from Terry to come and have some fun and see how well we get on.
All right. And what's your day job?
Working with the Nissan GT1 car with JRM.
Oh, right. That's pretty fabulous.
Yeah, it's a good time. Yeah, it's a magnificent place to work.
At what level are you working?
It's a GT1 team in the World Championship.
And your role?
I'm the number one on the car 22.
All right. Brilliant. Well done. Yeah. Your dad would be proud of you.
Let's hope so.
Okay. All right. Now, Kevin, it didn't last very long in Barcelona, did it? 4 hours? Well, that wasn't bad. And I think it was not your fault that it all turned pear-shaped, was it?
No, not really. It's just, it was a multitude of little things, but I mean, we'd have been fine if it was a 4-hour race.
Well, today is this time it's a 24-hour race. How do you rate your chances of finishing?
I do. The car was really good while we were in Spain. It felt fantastic. It was just a couple of silly little things that led us to, the only part that broke was the part we hadn't got, so it's just real bad luck.
Murphy at work again. What was actually, to be fair, it was the bonnet that, what happens? What are those bonnet catches for if the bonnet actually flew up?
No, what happened, because we had a real bad vibration at the beginning on the test day, was from the splitter, which causing a vibration, was causing the bonnet to chatter. And we cured the vibration, but we didn't realise it had damaged the bonnet pins so bad. And then 4 hours into the race, the bonnet pins let go, and so then the bonnet come up and broke the screen, and we hadn't got a screen.
And your solution to that was to knock the screen out and to knock the rear window out, and let's go racing.
Yeah, that's right. I thought that was the easiest thing to do, but being FIA over there, they didn't agree with me.
Didn't like that solution. It would have worked, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's a proper stock car.
He's back to his roots again, ladies and gentlemen. And let's face it, you wear full-face helmets in there, don't you?
That's right. An Expo could have entered that race, so I don't see the difference myself, but as I didn't speak very good Spanish and they didn't speak very good English.
Probably didn't speak very good Spanish either, although, of course, they are multilingual, that lot. But it's very frustrating. It is a very real dilemma, I think, for the sport, because the sport is all about enabling people to go motor racing. Sometimes the bureaucracy of the sport seems to be set up to stop people from going racing, and sometimes their reasons smack more of bureaucracy than they do of genuine reasons. However, I mustn't get into the politics of that because it's out of my league, but good luck this afternoon to all of you, and let's make our way back up the grid. Leap in if you wish to, gentlemen.
What we'll start to do, Brian, until you find some people to quickly talk to, is we'll start to run down the starting drivers in numerical order. So,
have you got them?
I have.
Brilliant.
So,
I may interrupt you from time to time because I'm walking alongside the governor, and he may want to say something.
Okay, no problem. We'll just jump in whenever, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you want to turn in to your entry list little booklet that you get with your programme, and then what we'll do is we'll give you the first driver, and as the race goes on, we have got the driver order, and if we get time, we'll give that to you in full. But otherwise, we'll pretty much try and call who's in the car at which stage at the pit stop. So first of all, the driver will be starting. Car number 1 is the man behind car number 1. That's Whit Gampski. So he starts car number 1. Car number 2, the McInerney Eclipse Ferrari 430. That's going to be started by Michael McInerney. So Michael McInerney starts car 2. Car number 3. The Top Cats Mosler is going to be started by Henry Fletcher, so Henry Fletcher starts in car 3. Car 4, the Strata 21 Mosler, will be started by Callum Lockie. Callum Lockie starts that one. Car number 5, the ARC Bratislava Porsche 997, started by Sean Edwards. Car number 6, the Nigel Mustle Aquila, will be started by Bob Berridge, so Bob Berridge starts that one. Car number 7, the Marco Schelt BMW, is going to be started by Dominic Schwager, so Dominic Schwager starts car number 7. The number 8 car, the Mac G Racing Ultimate, started by the man behind that car, Jonathan McGregor.
He is, I've just had a word with him, and he's thumbs up, ready to go and raring, because they've had a torrid day yesterday. They actually had to go back to base and then back again because of their exhaust problems, and they've had to do some real work on it, but work on it they have, and so we believe the noise problems have dissipated. Whether there's been any loss of power is an acid question.
We'll find out in a few moments' time, because we are just 12 minutes away now from the start of the 2011 Britcar 24 Hours, which is due to get underway at 4:30. So moving on with the starting drivers. Car 27, the Top Cats Marcos, is going to be started by Neil Huggins. So Neil Huggins starts car 27. Car 28, the Fred Tong GTF Sageris, is going to be started by Tim Hood. So Tim Hood starts car 28. Car 30, the Roll Centre Ginetta G55. Who else but Martin Short to start that car? So Martin Short will start in that one. And car number 31, the RGN Nissan 370, will be started by Alex Buncombe. So Alex Buncombe will start in car 31. Car 45, the first of the Mazdas, that's going to be Mark Ticehurst who goes out first. Car 46, the Motion Sport Lotus Elise, Pete Story will be starting the race. Car 47, the Gemco Ginetta G50, Craig Wilkins to take the start. And car 48, the Vista Labels BMW M3 GTR, and that will be Rick Wood who goes first. Car 49, the NMR Aston Martin, will be started by Carsten LeBlanc. So Carsten LeBlanc starts car 49. Car number 50, the Vantage Aston Martin, will be started by Alan Bonner. So Alan Bonner in car 50. 51, the Optimum Ginetta G50, is Stuart Lynn to take the wheel for the start of the race. The Rogue Forza Toyota MR2, car 52, will be started by Simon Arris.
You've got a long way to go, haven't you? Now, what do you know about driver superstitions? Not a lot is the answer, because you didn't reply. The reason I ask the question is that I'm now about to conduct an interview with an old friend. Well, I think he's a friend, but he may get stroppy with me if I actually touch him. And by that, I mean he indicates that I'm not allowed even to touch his helmet. So this may be a bit of a muffled or muted interview, but it's long-time racer, and it's Bob Berridge, who's driven just about everything in sight in motorsport in recent years. How are you doing, Bob?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. I'm a little bit hot at the moment, hot and bothered. But
you're taking on fluid. It doesn't look as though it's the amber ale.
No, no Newcastle Brown in this, Brian. It's Lucasade Sport, which is very good for you. You could do it a bit yourself.
You think you could actually do anything for me with that stuff?
No, I think you're beyond redemption, I'm sure.
Bob, you're sitting here on the front row, pole position. It must be a very nice feeling.
Yeah, there's a long way to go, 24 hours. I've done 5 Le Mans before, and I think the Silverstone 24 hours is going to be a really tough race. You don't get much chance to relax as a driver, you know, it's working constantly.
How many hours do you think you'll do at the beginning?
We'll probably do a single stint to start with, which is just over an hour.
Who will you hand over to?
Gareth Evans will be driving, then John Martin, and then Nigel Mustel, the car owner.
I've sensed that this car seems to be ready to win. The Aquila is a quick car, undeniably. Is it capable of lasting 24 hours?
Well, you know, you can build a car to do 12 hours or 15 hours, and the rest is in the lap of the gods, really. But, you know, we've done the best we can in the time available. And, you know, so I think, yeah, it stands a chance of finishing.
Good luck. Enjoy it. And that's the operative phrase. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have somebody alongside me who wants to say a few words, and a few words it is, addressed to all the competitors here. And we are, I think, waiting for a display board which will show that there are 3 minutes to go.
3 minutes to go. God. On Monday we start again.
Now, James, you wanted to say something.
Yes, Brian, just a big thank you to you and your team who will be working through the night. And just to say, so you know, that you're being live streamed onto Britcar24hr.co.uk. You can watch it on your computers, you can watch it on your mobile phone, timing, and it's live streaming to Britcar24hr.co.uk. So you can watch the race through the night, come back to us and see us in the morning. We'd love to see you. You've got tickets. I know you've got the Sunday tickets if you bought them today, so come back and see the finish of the race. Have a lovely time, look after each other, and drink lots of water.
Now, I have one other question for you, and that is, will the next step be to have a live feed to my microphone, and will I therefore be able to do the night commentary from my bed next year?
That's possible. Modern technology will allow that.
All things are possible. Now, with just how long to go before we get the message? How long? 45 seconds and loading. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the 6th Britcar 24-hour race. An enormous amount of effort has been put into organising your entertainment here this year. There is lots available, and it doesn't end now. It carries on into the night and so on. We want you to enjoy yourselves whilst you're here. We want to enjoy ourselves whilst we're here. We want the competitors in particular to have great fun. I know that a lot of them take it seriously, but now the time has come when, James, you tell us...
Start your engines!
There you have it. Start your engines. Gentlemen, we are coming very close to the hour at which we start the 6th annual Silverstone Britcar 24-hour race. And this is a glorious moment when we look forward to each and every team having good luck in their efforts to win or do well in the 24-hour race. It is not given to everyone to have the good fortune to win. It is not given to everyone to have the good fortune to finish. But we know that they're going to give their best shot. We know that they're going to give 100% effort. And we know that it's going to be a dramatic race over the 24 hours. And for your commentators at the beginning of the race, I'm going to hand you over to my colleague Ben Evans and to our 24-hour expert, probably the most expert man in motorsport on endurance racing, Paul Trustwell. Gentlemen, over to you.
Thank you, Brian. It's an honour and a privilege, as ever, to be here for the Britcar 24 Hours. So, the commentary team for the start of this race it's Paul Trustwell and myself overlooking Woodcote out at Beckett's, as he has been all day. If he's not melted into the commentary box, there is Robin Murphy. And then throughout the opening hours of the race, we'll be hearing from Chris Hartley in the pit lane. The cars are being webmed for the information that we've got one car that is struggling to get away. It's one of the Aston Martins which has stalled on the grid and is running into problems. So as those cars go on the formation, that what I'll do is very quickly run through the remaining starting drivers for you. And car 53, the Top Cats Marcos, that is going to be Shimo Gina who starts that one. 54, the MP Motorsport BMW M3 is Bardwell. 55, the Welsh Motorsport Seat Leon, it will be Harvey. Team Caramba, car 56, BMW M3 is Pedersen. 57, the Marcos International Lotus Evora will be Pruitt. 58, the GT Classics Porsche 993, when it appears, will be McLean. 59, the MB Motorsport Aston Martin will be Wall. It's car 59, in fact, the MB Racing Aston Martin, that's the one that's in trouble. Car number 60, the Thorny BMW M3, that will be Green. Number 61, the Scuderia Vittoria Ginetta G50 will be Dan Dennis. The 62 BPM Ginetta G50 will be Cullum. 63, the Strash 21 BMW will be Lunn. 64, the Vittoria Porsche 996 Aramon. 65, the Sub-Zero Wolf Seat Leon will be Davis. Car 66, the Dorset Sports Porsche 996 will be Winter. 68, the Intersport BMW M3 will be Clark. 70, the McLeod Holden Astra will be Camilleri. 75, the Mazda MX-5 will be Pryor. 77, the MMC RCS BMW will be David Cox. The 78, Sam's Boys Seat will be James. 79, the Synchro Honda Jazz will be Alan. Car 80, the Synchro Honda Civic will be Andy Hack. Car 81, the APO Sports Seat Leon will be Osborne to start it. 82, the Carvel Volkswagen Golf will be Rob Carvel. The 83 CTR Lotus Leeds will be Zubin Randaria. Car 84, if it appears, will be the Red Camel Seat Leon, started by Tucson. The 85 Daniels Honda Civic is Bowers. The 86 Mazda MX-5 Major Jim Cameron start that one. 87, if that appears, the Honda Civic, Saxon Honda Civic will be Mahi. Car 88, the Mardi Gras Honda Integra will be Mines to start that. 89, the Brunswick BMW M3 will be Griffiths. Car 90, the RPM BMW M3 will be Rata. Car 91, the Piranha Ginetta G40 will be Mason. The 92 Smarts for You Smart 4 will be Bates. 93, the CTR Alpha Tune BMW will be Chris Bentley. Car 94, the Ginetta G40 will be Mark Davis. Car 95, the Jet Black Renault Clear will be Bremer. And last, but certainly not least, the 99 DC Motorsport MG ZR 180 will be started by Walker. Sorry for that very rapid run through the starting drivers, but Paul, I think that is largely testimony due to the fact of just how popular this Britcar 24-hour race is with such a huge entry.
Yes, I mean, there was a time when greater numbers were being suggested would be participating, but this, in a way, is quite enough, because the trouble with these type of endurance races, when you get a lot of them, is there's just so much traffic, and the cars end up not being able to race properly. They're not being able to extend themselves properly, because they're always looking for the next car that you have to overtake. I have to admit that half my attention is over in Atlanta, where the Petit Le Mans race is about to start, by pure coincidence at the same time as this race will start, and they've got an even larger grid over a shorter circuit, and there's a huge speed differential there. It's a similar problem here. It's not as bad, but the order of the day for the first few laps is very much going to be staying out of trouble, keeping your nose clean, and not getting into any silly schmozzles early on in the race.
Well, thank you very much, Paul. We're about to get underway because the safety car has pulled in, so it's going to be the responsibility of the Aquila, car number 6, with Bob Berridge at the wheel to pace the field. To the inside of him on the front row of the grid is Whit Gamsky in last year's winning number 1 car. They are rumbling up to the starting gantry. The lights go out and the Britcar 24 Hours 2011 is underway as they surge towards Copse Corner for the first time. It's going to be the Aquila that takes the lead around the outside, with then the Gamsky Ferrari into second. Everybody at the head of the field cleanly through Copse as they accelerate up towards Beckett's. The back of the field is about to start the race, but Robin Murphy, they make a magnificent sight as they come past you for the first time.
They certainly do, and it is the Aquila that leads, and good to see that the Moser of Paul White, Callum Lockie, etc., is right up there. That's Callum Lockie starting that one. I'm just watching the whole field through because there are always those, despite the fact that they know it's 24 hours and they don't have to win it all in the first couple of corners, that overdo it. And gentlemen, we have our first one to overdo it. Car 57, where are you and why did you do that? Sideways across the track. I think he's going to recover. Yes, he is. So he'll be driving away and hoping that his team won't realise that Hal Pruitt got it all wrong at Maggots, and he sat there and he's got away. Car is unharmed, but he's dead last.
And guys, just to give you some news from the pits, on outside Garage 2C, the 59 Aston Martin of MB Racing has failed to start, so the team busy scrambling away to try and get that one fired up. We also had a couple starting from the pit lane. You noted the 84 Seat, the Red Camel Seat already. That did start, but it started from the pit lane. And the 58 Porsche 993, the GT Classics team, they had, when they went out to the grid, the gear stick snapped, so they've welded it back together and made it out, but they should have started on the 14th row of the grid. They're going to start from the pit lane. Paul McLean happy that they could get it done in time, and so it proved to be. They got to the end of the pit lane with just about a minute to spare, so that's one, number 58, that should come through the order fairly early on.
Well, they're coming back towards you now, and it is the Aquila that leads. Number 6, number 4. The Moser is in second. Number 5, the Porsche 997 in third place. And number 2, the McKinney Ferrari 430 in fourth place. They should be with you now, guys.
They're already through to complete the first lap of the race, and this is perhaps going to the form that we would have expected in terms of the top 3, because Bob Berridge, Callum Lockie and Sean Edwards are all very rapid drivers. Sean Edwards in particular has had a good deal of success in the Porsche Carrera Cup, supporting the Formula 1 races in Europe this year, so he is there in third position. Fourth place is the Michael McInerney car, which has somewhat strangely got a green light that's flashing on and off in the cockpit of that one at the moment, so we'll see if that's a problem. And
I think that's just his ID light, Ben. The cars will sprout various ID lights as dusk falls, but they've got an ID light which they've decided to put on straight away. Certainly very distinctive for the team to know when it's coming towards you at night.
Yes, it's a good spot, Paul. It's not ideal, though, this early in the race. Right, we've got waving one of the Mazdas. It's the number 86 Mazda, which is the military car. Major James Cameron had his hand out of the cockpit there, waving at the team on the pit wall.
I think he's just saluting. It's company regulation.
Yes. That should be actually the stipulation for that car. Must perform a crisp salute every lap of the race, except when it's Brigadier Mike Hicks at the wheel, because he's the most senior of the officers.
I'm saluting every time it goes by. The Alan Bonner run Aston Martin, or driven Aston Martin, just had a bit of a whoopsie over at Beckett's, but manages to get back on and continue as the leaders come back towards us. And it is still Bob Berridge in that Aquila, number 6, that leads, lights ablaze. He's being still chased hard by Callum Lockie. Callum onto the straight, and I'm looking further back. Order remaining the same. Now, guys, I have noticed this flashing light all the time on car 2. Michael McInerney in there now. They've actually had that on day and night, and I think it's a fine thing to do, but it's also, I think, quite intimidating. It's basically letting all the cars, any car ahead know, oips, I'm coming through, and I think it's really for their protection when they come up against back markers. It's not too sad an idea.
Right, well, we've got into the pit lane, unfortunately. Hal Pruitt, and Chris may have some news there.
Yeah, I was just about to bring your attention to that. That was the car that had an off earlier on. Hal's got a huge amount of endurance racing experience, so I'll go and investigate that one. So I may have some damage or checking some damage. But an update on the 59 MB Racing Aston Martin. The reason it's not starting the race and they're working on the car, it wouldn't select gear, so fairly fundamental problem. They're trying very hard to get that car out there now at the worst possible time for something to go wrong, because not only do you lose time, but you lose huge amounts of places at this stage of the race.
Well, the man who's gaining in the early stage of the race is Alex Buncombe in the number 31 Nissan, who has in fact gained a place on the last lap. He's up into 4th position ahead of the Michael McInerney car, and then 6th place we've got the number 7 car, which is currently in the hands of Dominic Schweger. In 8th place is Jonathan McGregor in the Mac G Racing Ultimate. In 9th place is the number 28 car, and then rounding out the top 10 is the number 53 all Japanese Top Cats Racing Marcos Mantis with Yusuke Shimojima at the wheel.
Well, down here at the exit of Maggots, we've got car number 55, and that's Clint Harvey in the Seat Leon, and I'm afraid he's parked that one up. A snatch vehicle is out there trying to hook it up, and hopefully they can stick that on the access road and get that back to the pits. Well, in fact, they got it fired up. Well done, guys. And that one is back on. He's lost a lap, but he is continuing.
Unfortunately, into the pit lane, we've got Alan Bonner in car number 50, the Tom Black Vantage Racing Aston Martin. So not a good start to the race for the Aston Martins. That's two of them had unscheduled pit stops in the opening 2 laps, if you include the one that didn't get away from the line. So Chris may have some news in due course about that one.
3 leaders all through, making their way onto the stadium. It's quite close, the little battle behind, and it's good to see the RJN Motorsport entry, number 31, up there in 5th place, and currently at the moment staying ahead of the Ferrari 430 of Michael McInerney.
Yes, it's a good performance, and in fact Alex Buncombe is just beginning to move away from Michael McInerney, because if anything, McInerney is now going to have to start to worry about Dominic Schwager at the wheel of the Marco Schelp BMW Z4, because that bright red BMW is on Taylor McInerney, although they spread out relatively equidistantly as they blast through and complete the lap.
Just some news on that 57 Vantage Racing Lotus of Hal Pruitt. The team reckon he had a tag, so he got tagged into a spin, and he came in just with some loose bodywork. So the gaffer tape came out, there's no real damage to the car, and Hal has gone back out. So that does sort of explain it, because Hal, as I say, very experienced. He's got more than 50 or 60 races, endurance races under his belt. I don't think he's the sort of guy that would go for it unnecessarily on the first lap of the race. So that one's back out, but unfortunately with lots of time lost.
And good to see the high-tech repair methods coming in so early in the race as well, with the gaffer tape being deployed. Another car that we're watching coming up through the order is one that we picked up in the warrant this morning, which is the GTF Sagaris, which is with Tim Hood at the wheel at the moment. That car qualified a little bit lower down the order than perhaps we would have expected it to, on the outside of row 7, so 14th. That car, number 28, it's bright yellow, is up into 9th position and is right on the tail of the number 8 Mac G Racing Ultima, Jonathan McGregor. With that one, they were exactly a tenth of a second apart as they crossed the line, and that, Robin, is one that could change. So we've got another car that is heading into the pit lane at quite an optimistic rate, actually, for the pit lane speed limit. Car number 90 is possibly the one that is. Yes, it is. It's the BMW M3, Nigel Rata RPN Motorsport. So car number 90, unfortunately, another early visitor to the pits.
And also that's going to be joined, because very slowly coming into the complex, certainly I'm not even sure if I've seen him get out of Brooklands yet. All I can tell you is it's red and it's white and it's incredibly slow. So somebody else with problems in these early stages.
Is that the Seat that we lost earlier on, the Aussie Seat? Because what it is,
it could well be.
It's a front right puncture that's the problem, as the Aquila is already into the lappery and completes its 3rd lap of the race. Bob Berridge doing that. So into the pit lane comes the Seat, and it's a front right puncture for the number 65 car, unfortunately. So into the pit lane comes that one, and work for them to do. They've lost a good chunk of time. We've actually got the safety car out. The safety car board is displaying here on the start and finish line. So the safety car is now out. The race is being neutralised. We are 9 minutes into it. We'll try and look to see what it is that has brought the safety car out. I'm not sure, Robin, if you can see anything where you are.
Well, there's absolutely nothing, as it were, in my area, but as you know, there's an awful lot of places at Silverstone that stuff can hide. Having a quick hunt round there, going very slowly again. There's another car approaching you under the bridge, going very slowly and really suddenly grinding to a halt. So a couple of them in trouble. That one should be appearing your way quite soon.
Yes, we'll look to pick that up. I'm just looking on the timing screen to see if there is anybody who's gone missing who we wouldn't have expected to. I think it could be a little bit soon to pick that up. Well, nobody has come cruising past us, Robin, at an absolutely minimal pace. So whether that means that they just overcompensated for the safety car, or whether it means they've actually expired between leaving your site and arriving into ours. In fact,
yeah, I'm wondering if they parked up in an unsafe place, and that's why they've had to sling out the safety car.
It wouldn't have been another Seat, would it, that was going very slowly, because one of those is peeling into the pit lane as well.
Number 8 lost a couple of places, Ben, on that last lap. If that can explain it, the Mac-G Racing dropped 3 places. Maybe it had a tangle with a slower car or something?
Yes, it was some 7 seconds slower, the Ultima, than its best lap, so that could explain some of the problems there. So the safety car is out, so that the race effectively is going to be neutralised just for a few moments, and then as soon as we can identify what the issue is, we've got various feeds available to us in the commentary box here, so I'm just looking to pick up the CCTV feed and see if on that we can identify a car that has gone missing in the extremities of the circuit. Well, the Aquila of Bob Berridge is going to come across the line now, so Berridge it is who is leading the way, and then it's a reasonably substantial gap with 5 cars that have already been lapped between himself and the man in second place, which is Callum Lockie in the Strata 21 Mosler, and then Lockie has got Sean Edwards immediately behind him in the number 5 ARC Bratislava Porsche 997, so that should be something to watch on the restart. The safety car is leading the train through the loop, and Chris Hartley has some news in the pit lane.
Yeah, this might all possibly be related to the safety car. Right into the garage has come the 55 Seat Leon Super Cobra, the strategic motorsport car, the Australian driver squad in there. That got punted off into the gravel and has brought some debris and possible shrapnel and bodywork damage onto the circuit, and that might then be related to the puncture that we saw in the garage next door with that Seat. So we don't know. The driver didn't tell them why he got a puncture, just came in and said that he got a front right puncture, the car that you saw coming in just a short while ago, the Sub-Zero Wolf Seat. So it might all be related to debris on the circuit giving that car a puncture, and the fact that this Seat next door got punted into the gravel, and therefore possibly some litter and bodywork on the circuit might have brought the safety car out. But I'll see if I can find out and go to word with the marshals if they can tell us more.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mystery because it came off by me and there are no marshals out there having to clear anything up at all. I don't think there's any problem on the track round here.
Although it's a good spot from Chris that it could be a debris issue, because I'm just looking at our timing screens and there's nobody who has suddenly disappeared. Paul?
One thing which has happened, and because I do a lot of endurance racing, I know this, we've got 2 safety cars out there, and they've split the field, which is why we've got a huge gap built up after the first 3 cars. You mentioned that there was 5 back markers separating the leader from second and third places, the 4 and 5 cars, but a minute and a half now has dropped back the number 31 RJN Nissan, so that's a real dent for its hopes because of the way the safety car has come out. 2 safety cars take half the field each, but it does mean that the second part has really been delayed, so from 4th place backwards they've got a lot of catching up to do once the safety car is withdrawn.
Yeah, so they have given away the best part of 80 seconds. Still looking on the CCTV and can't see any errant vehicles. I'm not yet in receipt of any notification either as to when the safety car is going to peel in. So at the moment we have got the cars continuing to circulate as again Bob Berridge completing another lap of the race. So frustrating start here for the Aquila, but we were talking a little bit about this in the warm-up earlier on with regards to fuel strategy and how a safety car can help with a slightly younger fuel run. Well, in the case of the Mosler of Callum Lockie, that is particularly advantageous because Callum Lockie, the Mosler, that is always a car that has been notoriously thirsty, so an early safety car period for them might just enable them to run a slightly longer first stint of the race in relation to what it may otherwise previously have done. And Paul, you have some news.
Only that I made a mistake. There's only 1 safety car out there. So quite why it managed to what's happened is that the Aquila has kind of sneaked ahead, and that minute and a half is actually going to turn into a great deal more than a minute and a half, I think, the next time they come round, because it will be more getting on towards 2 minutes, I suspect. So very nearly a lap then gained by the first 3, the Aquila number 6, followed by the Strata 21 Mosler number 4, and then the number 5, the ARC Bratislava Porsche, leading the class, of course, in Class 2. But there is only 1 safety car out there, but it's has benefited the first three quite significantly.
Safety car. So just so that people know where it is, it's coming towards me now, and it's hooked up its little ducklings, and the leader is, well, a long way down in that pack of cars. So he's virtually collected all running cars now, and they're not that far off the train, so we don't have a situation where we have cars, miles away down the lap at the moment.
And on the safety car issue, I just spoke to one of the marshals and asked if he knew why over the radios. It's not absolutely certain, but it sounds like there's debris down at Clubbed Corner, and that's the reason the safety car's come out.
Right. Okay, well, I also just like to point out for those fans of Class 4, the smaller cars, Dave Cox. Well, the Cox car is up there leading class in 28th position, number 77. And right behind it, and I reckon a cracking start for them, is the Danish mob. It's the Jet Black Racing entry, number 95, second in class, and just behind Dave Cox.
If the T-shirt sales are anything to go by at lunchtime, the Jet Black Racing Squad are about the most supported team here. Some very distinctive team merchandise that they've had available at their trucks. The safety car is peeling in, so we're about to go racing here, and it's going to be the Nissan which heads the queue. So effectively, although Alex Buncombe in the RGM Motorsport Nissan is released ahead of the queue, he has lost, to all intents and purposes, a lap here on the race leader, because the Aquila is now at the back of this train of cars. He's going to have to fight his way through that train, but for all the cars really in this race from fourth place downwards, this safety car has conspired to work against him. The Aquila is just turning through Brooklands now, so Bob Berridge very shortly is going to be released to run at full pace, and then Callum Lockie the same, has got a lot of slower cars that he needs to carve past. So here comes Bob Berridge now, and let's see, yes, it's about 2.5 minutes that he's been able to gain in that safety car over the RGM Motorsport Nissan, as Callum Lockie is about to cross the line now, and he is released. Now, we've seen here, this could be quite interesting, Paul. We've seen two different strategies with the green flags behind the safety car, because as soon as the green flags were flying, we saw that Bob Berridge in the Aquila was carving past lots of the slower cars before he got to the start and finish line, where Callum Lockie very conspicuously waited in the Mosler until he had gone into the new lap before he started passing cars.
Yeah, it's very interesting, possibly because Bob Berridge is of that generation when the start-finish line used to be where we are, rather than down there where it is these days. So Bob may have thought he'd gone past the start-finish line, but of course start-finish line is now quite a long way down the pit straight.
I have to tell you guys, car 51 gone back on a low loader. Stuart Lynn at the hands of the Optimum Racing Ginetta, and that one has had a side swiping somewhere. I don't know if it's not exactly banana shaped, it's banana coloured, but it's certainly taken a bit of a biff in the near hand side, and it's being taken back to the garages now.
It's very disappointing for them. Paul, to go back to your point, I concur with you, except to say that Bob Berridge went past two cars on the way into Brooklands.
Well, there we are, yes.
In 1948, there was a start line there, I think.
You're right, absolutely, Robin, you were here.
But Bob's far too young to remember that, of course, so yes, maybe some explaining to do. Right, the car that is really flying on this restart and has gained a lot of ground is the Sageris, which is about to move past the number 2 McInerney machine. So Tim Hood at the wheel of the number 28 Fred Tong Sageris is climbing up through the field very rapidly. He is about to move into 6th position as he passes Michael McInerney in the Ferrari 430. But then if you look at that Eclipse lineup, Michael is probably the slower of the three drivers, because the second driver will take over that car is the very rapid Phil Keane, and then Michael's son Sean is also no slouch as well. Well, that's bad news for local fans. The Thorney Motorsport car is into the pit lane, so the Tesco Momentum Thorney Motorsport car unfortunately peeling into the pit lane, and therefore having a bit of an issue in the early stages of the race. So he is into the pits, and hopefully nothing too seriously remiss with that one. So already we're seeing a little bit of attrition within the first 20 minutes of the race. Hopefully we'll see all the cars that we've lost thus far reappearing, although it doesn't sound too good at all for the Optimum Motorsport Ginetta. It's the Smart for 4 crosses the line. Well, that restart for Callum Lockie, he gave away a good number of seconds, probably 5 or 6 seconds to the Aquila by that delayed restart. On that last lap, he was some 4 seconds slower than Bob Berridge in the Aquila, but 2 of those were gained almost certainly as they came to line. What this also allowed is Sean Edwards in the number 5 car, the ARC Bratislava Porsche, to move within just 3.4 seconds now of Callum Lockie in the Mosler. Then we have this essentially lapse gap back to the head of the queue, which is still being led by the RGM Motorsport Nissan with Alex Buncombe at the wheel, although he is gradually being reeled in by about 0.4 of a second a lap by the number 7 car, and that is Dominic Schwager at the wheel of the bright red BMW, and then the very hard charging Tim Hood in the bright yellow Sogeris as the queue surges through now. And yes, the battle is well and truly on for 4th and 5th here, because that gap was 2.7 last time round. As they cross the line, it's down to 1.2 seconds. So we're seeing that car flying. We've then got the battle between the Eclipse Ferrari and the Sogeris, which is still trying to find a way through, looking to the inside into Copse, can't quite do it. And on the tail of them is the second of the Moslers, that's the Top Cats Mosler with Henry Fletcher at the wheel. So Robin, as they come towards you, in that train of cars, lots of battles for position.
There certainly are, and as always, they're doing a bit of lapping at the same time. Just looking further down, and in the next class, it's all very close right the way down. It's being led at the moment by 56 Tom Pedersen in the VHA Trim Motorsport BMW. Behind them, 68 is Kevin Clark in his BMW M3, and right behind Kevin is the Kevin Hancock car. It's number 47. They're all in the same class. That is actually Craig Wilkins in the Ginetta G50.
Yes, that's a very nicely poised battle as well. And with this early safety car, with the exception of the top 3 that rather split the pack, the rest of them are really able to fight for position. Actually, without having to worry about some of the slower cars for a couple of laps or so. So we could well see 4th, 5th, and then 6th, 7th, and 8th all change on this occasion. Actually, 9th as well is in the mix, because that's the Roll Centre Racing Ginetta G55 Martin Short at the wheel of that one. They've had all sorts of problems getting that car up to the sort of power output that they were hoping it would produce. They had a run out at Rockingham in the British GT Championship earlier in September and had to withdraw after free practice because of various reliability issues, but now that car, certainly based on its performance thus far, is going very nicely. So we are almost 25 minutes into the race, and the advantage that Bob Berridge in the Aquila, car number 6, has got over Callum Lockie in the Strata Motorsport Mosler is 16.6 seconds. It's a further 5.5 seconds then back to the number 5 car of Sean Edwards, as the fight for 4th and 5th is down to just a couple of tenths of a second, because we have got running very close together Dominic Schwager now right on the tail here of Alex Buncombe in the Nissan. So the red BMW Z4 has a half look to the Nissan as they arrived into Copse Corner. Then we've got the fight for 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. Those cars running pretty much line astern, and again, and this time I think making the move is going to be Tim Hood in the Sogeris. So as they accelerate out of Copse and on towards Beckett's, Robin, we could see a change here for 6th and 7th.
Yes, indeed. Well, although they're having to get it all a little straightened out as they run down here, but I think the Sogeris, he's definitely got... Now, he's still got the advantage as they run down to the hangar straight. Leader should have crossed, I think, probably... Yeah, there he is. Here comes the leader, running down through towards Beckett's. And my goodness me, that is a healthy old lead. It was 16 seconds odd. I think he's put another 5 seconds on the number 4 car, the Callum Lockie Mosler.
Correct.
He has. It's now to 21 seconds. We've got another car bombing into the pit lane. And I say bombing, it's the Jet Black Racing Clio, which, again, has to stamp on the anchors to make sure it gets down to the pit lane speed limit. Very distinctive car, that Clio. Funded by one of the guitarists in the Jet Black rock band, hence the name.
Yes, the guitarist. One of the better guitarists of his ilk, actually.
I can't say I'm overly familiar with Jet Black's music, although as a metal fan I feel I should like them with a name like that.
But his name is Dan Fastuca, and he is, well, he's such a fine guitarist that some of the best guitar builders in the world actually build a range of guitars with his name on it, signature guitars. But as I mentioned, I think yesterday, he's got Toby Wright there as his spanner man, who is his record producer, who also is the record producer of guys like Metallica. He's responsible for over 300 million sales worldwide, and there he is holding a spanner down in the pits for car 95.
Robin, I'm down in the pit lane. I've got Clint Harvey with me here. Clint, you say out there the Daniel Welch Motorsport car did about 10 minutes and you got punted off. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, basically I had a Aston Martin in front of me at the start of the race, and it was all over the place, and just thought he'd win the race. And the first minute of the 24-hour race, it was blocking on the first lap of a 24-hour race. Ended up going off at the turn one, come back on and took two of us out. Just stupidity at the start of a 24-hour race. Really disappointed for myself. The guys, we had a really good car and had a good chance of winning our category, but it's just the way it goes, I suppose.
It's damage to the steering, so you told me you're probably going to be out for another half an hour or something like that?
Yeah, it looks that way, half an hour. So just play by ear, I suppose.
Come a long way for 10 minutes, haven't you?
We have, mate, all the way from Australia, sort of 20-hour flight to come over here. We love the event. We love the Australian weather right now, actually. And unfortunately, it's ended this way. So, yeah, hopefully we'll be back. And
your background and the team's background is in saloon racing. You're a former Australian saloon champion.
That's right, yeah, saloon champion in Australia, probably a few years ago now. But, yeah, saloon champion in Australia, yeah. So we do quite a few endurance events. We just at Barcelona last weekend. We do Nürburgring, we do Spa, Dubai. Events like that, so we've been around for a while and we sort of know how to sort of place the car at the start of a race, look after it, and it's a long race, so yeah, it's just unfortunate.
And it's still huge over in Australia, isn't it? So, I mean, the Commodore Holden battle is still, massive, isn't it?
It's a lot of rivalry. You're either a Ford man or you're a Holden man back in Australia, so yep. It's Bathurst is on actually next weekend, so I'll be at home and watch it on TV.
All right, Clint, well, bad luck. Hopefully he'll get back out there soon and we'll have a better race. Thank you for talking to us and for your time. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thanks very much there. Real disappointment then for the team, the Welch Motorsport 55 Seat. Clint Harvey there, you heard from the former Australian saloon champion, and real disappointment. 10 minutes gone in the race, and it's probably going to cost them 35-40 minutes.
Well, Chris, if you want, we can dredge out a DVD of last winter's Ashes highlights for them to watch whilst they get that car repaired. The news, though, is that we have had a change for fourth position, because up into fourth position now has gone Dominic Schweger in the Marco Schelt BMW Z4, who's moved ahead of Alex Buncombe in the Nissan and has just started to move away from him. Paul?
And also the change just behind, I don't know if you picked up whilst you were looking at the BMW improving, but also improving was the Cigaris moving up ahead of the McInerney McClips Motorsport Ferrari, so they've swapped around as well. The number one Ferrari, last year's winners, Witkamski, has dropped a long way back now. Since the pace car's out, he's been circulating about 12th place, but interesting to listen to this kind of concept of a 24-hour race, and certainly last year that Ferrari wasn't one of the leading runners early on in the race.
And the other thing to mention about Tim Hood in the Cigaris there, Paul, is that he's actually circulating a second a lap quicker than both the bright red BMW number 7 car and also the RGM Motorsport Nissan number 31 ahead of him.
Coming down enormously on that last lap, and a very slow lap from the Aquila, because the gap has come down to some 15 seconds now. Remember, we were saying it was up to 21 seconds. It was 24 seconds, the gap on the previous lap. It's now down to just 15 seconds. So Bob Berridge either had a moment out there somewhere, or he's got a problem with the Aquila on the 13th lap of the race.
That was 2 minutes 20, so 12 seconds away from that car's best lap of the race. So that will be one to monitor. Of course, it could just be maybe a yellow flag somewhere out on the far stretch of the circuit.
Well, he disappeared from me at a rate of knots under the bridge, but he did have a slow car on the road ahead of him, so it may have been a problem that he encountered in lapping a slow car.
I've just spoken to John Thorne from Thorney Motorsport, the number 60 BMW, the Tesco Momentum 99 racing car, which you saw coming into the pits a few minutes ago. Unfortunately, it's the worst possible situation because the car stopped right in the entry to the pit lane, just about got to the first garage. The team is right at the other end of the pit lane, so it took ages for the guys to run the length of the pit lane to then push the car all the way back up the other end. Huge amount of time lost there, and they're working on the car now. The problem is that it lost drive, so they're not sure exactly what, but they're looking at either the drive shaft, the clutch or the gearbox. So clutch or gearbox, it's lost drive, and they're going to be out for a while, I'm afraid.
The leader is in heavy traffic and just getting into Brooklands now. It really is in heavy traffic actually, but we should be able to get some idea as to whether he's improved his lap time.
The other car that's actually really struggling here is the McGregor Ultima, which has been passed on this lap by Whit Gamsky. So Jonathan McGregor slipping back. To plug next weekend's meeting here with the F3 and GTs, we've got the two Ginetta G40s, cars 91 and 94, the Prana Motorsport and Rolls Centre cars, running line astern, as you expect to see in the Ginetta Challenge, and the pair of them having a good little bit of a tussle. That's 36th and 37th places. Right, that was a much better lap there from Bob Berridge, a 2 minutes 12.2. In the traffic, as back into the pit lane unfortunately comes the Jet Black Racing Clio. So into the pit lane comes that car, somebody having a little bit of a moment, one of the BMWs at Brooklands, but he's going to rejoin without too many issues. But again on that last lap, the Mosler of Callum Lockie actually quicker than Bob Berridge by, on that occasion, 0.3 seconds, so he brings the gap down to under 15 seconds. And then Sean Edwards just beginning to drop away, as perhaps you'd expect in the Class 2 car, the ARC Bratislava Porsche 997.
Yes, Callum Lockie is about to encounter, or will do over the next lap or so, the same huge bunch of traffic that, of course, the leader has just about worked his way through. Vast cloud of dust over there towards the new pits complex and Duxford Wing, but I think that is a boot in the gravel rather than somebody parking it up.
He may just want to visit the new pit lane, of course.
Could well have done. Don't think it's quicker though, is it?
Funny enough, it is.
Oh well, in which case we'll draw a veil over that one.
Yes.
Oh, very good, Robin.
Indeed. Good for this time of night. Leader through again and another 2:12. So back up to speed once again. Callum Lockie a little bit faster. No, they should be round with you soon. What I was looking for was Class 4 again, because I'm keeping a beady eye on that. Yes, Dave Cox still leading that one.
Well, despite what we're hearing in the pit lane about not being able to win the race on the first lap, there's a lot of drivers really on the limit through Brooklands, particularly the two little Ginetta G40s, and then just behind them, the Honda Civic car number 85 is flying. That's the Daniels Honda Civic that is really having quite a lot of fun there. Nick Bowers at the wheel of that one. Right, now what about the gaps that we were watching? Well, it's still the Aquila that leads it. We'll pick up how much of an advantage he has got over the second place Mosler momentarily. I'm just looking for the battle for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. Now, have we had a problem for the Sageris? Because the Fred Tong Sageris that had moved up ahead of the Top Cats racing car on the Michael McInerney Eclipse Ferrari has now slipped back into 9th position.
Yeah, that happened on the previous lap, Ben. I did pick it up but didn't mention it. He slipped back 4 places on the previous lap. No particular explanation for it other than a slow lap. The Ultima is in the pits, number 8, and that car did lose places earlier on, and clearly it's far too early in the race for it to be running out of fuel, so not a scheduled stop.
Car 53 has had a problem. It's the Top Cat Racing Marcus Mantis with all the young Japanese drivers on board. I'm afraid that one is under tow back to the back of the garages, so obviously had a problem down the far end of the circuit.
And something else that's a little bit strange on the last lap is that the cars in 4th and 5th, so the Marco Schelt BMW 7 and the RJM Motorsport Nissan 31, both posted very slow laps that were considerably slower than the cars either in front of them or behind them, a 2 minute 18 and 2 minute 19 respectively. Now partly that could be traffic assisted, but then up into 6th position now and making good progress is Henry Fletcher at the wheel of the Top Cats Racing Mosler, and they're actually deploying a different strategy to last year, because last year they, as with the Whit Gamsky Ferrari, went out with Andrew Beaumont to start the race, and Andrew, probably the slower of the drivers in that team. They ran very steadily for the first few hours of the race and then begun to come good as the evening progressed into the night. They're currently up into 6th position. They've just done their best lap of the race, and as a result they've been able to move ahead of Michael McInerney in the Eclipse Ferrari.
Leader into Brooklands. That looked, he was going like a train past here. I have to say, Callum Lockie, this is the sort of thing I hate saying at the beginning of a long race, but the Callum Lockie car sounded not exactly bag of spanners, but sounded a bit rough. Can you stick your ears out? He's coming through Luffield now, I think.
I will. We'll look out for that one, Robin, whereas the fight for 4th and 5th is separated by about half a second as they come up to you, which is the red BMW and then the Nissan in hot pursuit. Yes, just listening to the Mosler then of Callum Lockie, didn't sound particularly rough, but it was in quite a lot of traffic, so we'll monitor that one. And actually, it didn't just do its fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, I think it was the previous lap. He dropped away, it must be nearly, I think it was 2:17, his previous lap. I think he was sounding a bit horrible because he was going a bit slow. It was in a lot of traffic, but now he's free of that.
And yes, so he gave away last lap. He's regained some of that on this previous lap. So the gap between first and second is 18 seconds. Then it's a further 15 back to Sean Edwards in car number 5, the ARC Bratislava Porsche. Then we have got Dominic Schwager in car number 7, the Marco Schelt BMW, who is once more under pressure from Alex Buncombe in the RGM Motorsport Nissan. And closing in, traffic permitting onto the pair of them, is Henry Fletcher in car number 3, the Top Cats Mosler, which means that he is driving away from Michael McInerney in the Eclipse Ferrari 430. In 8th place, it's number 30, that is the Roll Centre Racing, which is SG55. In 9th place is number 28, the Fred Tong Sajaris. In 10th place is number 27, the Top Cats Marcos. 11th place is car number 1, the Witt Gamsky Ferrari. 12th place, we have got number 56, which is the Team Caramba machine, and they are in fact leading Class 3 as a result of their efforts by 8 seconds over the car in 13th position. That's number 61, the Scuderia Vittoria Ginetta G50. In 14th place is number 47, that's the Gemco Racing Ginetta. 15th place is car number 68, the Intersport BMW M3. 16th place is 66, the Dorset Sports Porsche 996. 17th place is number 48, and that is the Vista Labels BMW M3 GTR. 18th place is 49, Nicholas Mee Racing Aston Martin. 19th place is number 54, the MP Motorsports BMW M3. And rounding out the top 20 at this stage, very early stages still, is the Motion Sport Elise number 46. In terms of the other classes, well, Robin, you've been banging their drum all day, and Dave Cox is still comfortably leading Class 4 in the number 77 BMW, and he's 25th in the race overall.
Yep, they're very steady progress. The battle is still going on for 4th and 5th between cars 7 and 31. That's the usual suspects. They're not that far ahead, it has to be said, of the leader. So still that safety car has really sorted things as far as these early stages are concerned. Bob Berridge has a comfortable advantage over Callum Lockie. It's fluctuating between sort of 16, 17, 18 seconds, round about that. And that's a similar margin between Callum Lockie and the number 5 Porsche of Sean Edwards.
Another car that is worth watching, up into 32nd position, having started from the pit lane, is car number 84, which is the Red Camel Seat. And at the wheel of that one at the moment is Henk Tjuysen, and Henk has driven that car up into 32nd place, and they are already up to 6th in Class 4, but crucially are 3 seconds a lap quicker than the 79 Synchro Motorsports car, which is at 5th in that class in 31st position. So that's a car that has made a good deal of progress in the early stage of the race.
Good progress as well from the Aquila. I mean, we're kind of ignoring Bob Berridge the way he's storming away at the head of the field, but he's now lapped everybody back to 5th place. So, I mean, yes, he did get a big advantage because of the safety car and the way the safety car came out, but he has now lapped everyone down to, as I say, he's lapped 6th place car, the number 3 Top Cats Mosler, and everybody else behind him as he goes through now and completes 17 laps. And so far so good for them, and as I say, just ahead of the Top Cats Moser now, which he has just put a lap on.
It's getting to that stage of the race already. The team managers of cars 50, 90 and 95 have been summoned to race control, so we might see some penalties coming in. So car 50, that's the Vantage Racing Aston Martin, and then car number 90, the RPN BMW M3, and 95, the Jet Black Renault Clio. The Jet Black Clio has had some optimistic angles of attack into pit lane, as we've got now Tim Hood in the Sajaris peeling into pit lane. So Tim Hood in car 28 in the Sajaris is in with 40 minutes into the race. that would be a very early pit stop given we had the safety car.
Exactly. I wouldn't have thought it would be a fuel problem. I would think it would be related to the fact that the car hasn't quite been running at its optimal pace, possibly some kind of problem with it, which he's now said, well, look, I've used enough fuel now to make it worth coming in for a couple of churns. Let's do it and let's get this problem sorted. My guess, we'll find out from Chris whether that's really true.
Yeah, my concern is it might be something a bit more serious. The way it was flying up through the field, then slowed, lost those places, and then has not really regained them once more. We'll find out in due course what the issue is affecting them. Another car that is progressing well is Martin Short at the wheel of the Gness G55 number 30, the bright orange Roll Sense racing car. He's just done that car's best lap of the race, 2 minutes 14.484. It means he's now within half a second of the Eclipse Ferrari 430, car number 2, with Michael McInerney at wheels. That's going to be a good battle to watch for over the next couple of laps. Quiller still just carving through and is about to lap the cars in 4th and 5th, with still just keeping at bay Alex Buncombe in number 31 is Dominic Schwager in number 7. That gap, if anything, may have gone out slightly as Buncombe goes down a lap. Now Chris Hartley has some news from the pit lane.
Yeah, just on the Mac G Racing, Jonathan McGregor driven number 8 Ultima. Jonathan has been into the pits a few minutes ago. The car had a misfire, so I had to get the laptop, plug the laptop into the car, try and figure out and cure the problem. So that's gone back out now, but it did lose a lot of time. Jonathan got back into the car, so I think there was no driver change, if I'm right in saying that. And they also took the opportunity to top the car up with fuel, because that now affects the strategy, and have to recalculate what fuel they've got in the car when they're going to come into the pits next time, because that was all unscheduled. So the guys in the fuel cans have to give an exact reading now of how much fuel they topped that car up with to the strategy team, who will now recalculate everything, and that of course throws the whole thing into disarray, because there has to be some flexibility with these things, because you're going to have factors like safety cars and all sorts of things that can affect your strategy. So it's a very fluid strategy for them. As for Jet Black Racing, really frustrating start for them. It's been in twice now, that car. The team haven't really got time to talk to me about what exactly the problem is, other than it's also, I think it's a fuel related issue, I think, in terms of fuel coming through the carburettor. But they've just had the team manager called up to race control as well, so it's been a real miserable start to them, I'm afraid.
It's back in again, and the reason it could be they've been summoned to race control, Chris, is that car enters the pit lane at a speed that would shame some of the cars coming through Woodcote on the racing line, and then jumps on the brakes just before the pit lane speed limit kicks in. So all sorts of problems for them. We've also got into the pits as well, the car that was second in Class 3, that's car 56 that's peeled in, the Team Caramba BMW M3, so that one has ducked into the pits as well.
Whereabouts are our boys in the army, number 86?
Car 86, they are in 46th position, and they are some 18 seconds adrift of the Saxon Motorsport car 87, which is there in 45th. So Major James Cameron is making a fine showing at the moment. That car has done its best lap of a 2 minutes 39.465. More importantly for them, given that it's the old motorsport maxim that you beat your teammates for anybody else, they are ahead of the journalist's car by almost 10 seconds. So I think they'll be very satisfied with that particular outcome, as the battle now between Michael McInerney and Martin Short crosses the start and finish line. Short looking to the inside of McInerney into Copse, thinks about it's about to be lapped as well by Callum Lockie, so that is going to be one to watch, Robin, very shortly as they come up towards you at Beckett's.
Yep, I'm looking over the shoulder, and indeed there they are going past me now, and now lights blaze, coming charging down through Maggots and into Beckett's, the order remaining the same. Just watching the progress, or lack of it rather, of car 28. Great shame for them. They've actually dropped back way down the order. They must be in the low 20s by now. But glad to see that the number 58 car, the Peter Fairbairn car that didn't make it to the grid, is out there running. I think it's around about 24th, 25th position at the moment.
It is 25th place there for that one. So they are making good progress. Yes, the Sageris, number 28, fell out in 29th position after that car's pit stop. The Jet Black Racing is probably the car which we're having the most concern with at the moment in terms of number of pit stops, because that has had 3. We also haven't seen the Thorney Motorsport car rejoin, or indeed, as we heard as well from the predominantly Australian crewed Seat number 55, the Welsh Motorsport car, because that is still in the pits. We've got another car that is peeling off now. It's one of the Ginetta G50s. See exactly who that is when they break time being possibly the Scuderia Vittoria car.
Is it 56?
I think it's one of the BMWs.
Oh, yes. I've lost number 56 in any event.
Yes, we lost 56 into the pit lane a while ago. It's the Gemco Racing one, so Craig Wilkins in 47, who also is a reasonably early pitter, because we're still only 45 minutes into this race as Bob Berridge is about to chalk up 20 laps. Over the line goes Bob Berridge, 20 laps in the books, as still got this excellent battle for 4th and 5th position that is continuing. Did we see a change, Robin, between the McInerney Ferrari and the Roll Centre Ginetta?
Not going past me the one way, I'm waiting for them to come back the other. But the order for those following the numbers is 6, 4, 5, 7. That's the leading 4. 6, 4, 5, 7. Then it's 31, 3, 2. 31, 3, 2.
Sorry, Robin. Bad news, I think, in that battle, that Martin Short had a bit of a problem, because he is pulling into the pit lane. It looks as if he was going to complete lap, but he's not. He's gone across the grass apron, so the Roll Centre Ginetta G55 in real problems there for Martin Short. Now, whether that was a bit of a moment that he has decided to pit in early and get checked out, or whether the car suffered a mechanical problem at the worst possible moment, I don't know. But into the pit lane comes car number 30 as a result, eliminating that from the battle that was enjoying for 7th position. And Paul, you were saying just 25 minutes ago, well, Wick Gamsky, he's made a slow start to the race, but that's what he did last year. Already attrition has put him up into 8th position.
8th, yes, already. So yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, that's what this kind of a race is all about. You know, you're not going to win it in the first couple of laps. You're not going to win it in the first hour even. For a long time, I've been of the opinion that you just go out, you set the lap time you want to look at. You don't even look at your race position until 10 o'clock on the Sunday morning, because your race position means absolutely nothing. What you want to be doing is just setting the lap time that you set yourself as being the schedule you want to do. As long as that car will do it, as long as the drivers can all do it, then if you can stay out of trouble, you're going to be in a good position come Sunday morning. And really 10, 11 o'clock in the morning is where we want to be looking at the positions, not 5:30 on Saturday afternoon.
Bob Berridge coming back towards you guys to complete his 21st lap, and Callum Lockie has just passed me. Again, lots of traffic.
Yes, traffic is I don't know, I think it's always the case early in the race that it just feels very noticeable, doesn't it? Because these quicker cars really are encountering a fair amount. We've got another car that is peeling into the pit lane. It's one of the Porsches. I can't quite pick out the number of that one just yet. Also in is the Evora as well. So the Marcos International Lotus Evora peeling. I think it's an Evora. So it was Dave Cox is in the pit lane in car 77, so that car in the pit lane, hopefully no problems for that one. We've also got in number 64 the Scuderia Vittoria Porsche 996. That was the Porsche that we identified peeling into the pit lane, and yes, it was number 57, the Lotus Evora as well, back in for its second pit stop of the race. Well, that first pit stop in the very early stages, back up to 38th position prior to that move into the pits. So find out, I think possibly the one that's concerning is the Roll Centre pit stop there for Martin Short, because that seemed to be well off schedule. Also hope there's nothing too amiss for the Cox family squad, the MMC Motorsport car, Dave Cox, and then sons Jason and Michael, also Paul Stubb, the Australian, this weekend. Can hear the sound of a wheel gun and an air jack, which means Chris Hartley has some news in the pit lane.
Yeah, and you're just about to hear the engine firing up and the car going away again. It's the Ginetta UK team that I'm stood next to, number 30, picked up a puncture, debris on the circuit. We're hearing a lot of that, aren't we? So debris on the circuit, Martin Short was in the car, and it was a left rear puncture. They've taken the opportunity to change the strategy, so they've changed driver, and Michael Simpson has now got into that car, the Ginetta Works driver, the former British karting champion, into the car. I'll go and find out what it's been busy down here. It's quite a few. You'd think a 24-hour race, there wouldn't be this much action the first hour. They're not even making sprint race distance, are they, some of these cars, without problems? The other one to come in that cut out on circuit was the Mazda of Team Jota, Mazda Motors, car number 45. That one just cut out on the circuit. I'm not sure what that one was. Going to find out about the BMW, and I'll try and grab a word for you with Martin Short as well once he's figured out his problems and had a chance to cool down.
Yeah, Martin may be with an opinion or two. Right, now this could be interesting. We've got the team manager of car number 6, the Aquila, to race control. So Bob Berridge's, the race leader's team manager, has been summoned to race control. I just wonder whether that is about overtaking behind the safety car. Because he was certainly scything past cars before he got to the start and finish line, and it's not been into the pit lane, so it must be something on track that has prompted that summons. So Bob Berridge will be peeling into the pit lane. Of more concern possibly for the Aquila squad is the way that the car's lap times have been fluctuating. Paul was talking a moment ago about how important it is to set those consistent lap times, and it really has been a little bit of a yo-yo for Bob Berridge in terms of lap times. Obviously, some of that has been driven by traffic, but it means that Callum Lockie in car number 4, the second-place Mosler, is now 13.1 seconds adrift of the race leader, with then Sean Edwards in car number 5, the RC Bratislava Porsche, further 35 seconds back, and then we're into the cars that have been lapped. Still, we've got this fantastic battle between the BMW Z4 and the Nissan, the RJM Motorsport Nissan number 31. So it's cars 7 and 4 running together on track, separated by just 0.4 of a second.
Ben, as promised, got Martin Short here. Martin, you picked up a puncture. That's just debris on the circuit, was it?
No, it looks like we had a wheel nut come loose. Just on the new pit straight. I just went to brake and the car sort of let go, and I thought I had a left front puncture first of all, but then it became apparent at the left rear, and I sort of hobbled home. But the wheel had come loose, and then as I got to Luffield, a bolt on part of the suspension cut through the wheel and split it in half. So that's interesting.
No idea what would have caused that?
No, they're all talked on. So heat soak, I don't know. It's a hot old day today, and there's a lot of braking. Unfortunately for us, we've got a nice handling car with not a huge amount of power, and I'm stuck behind cars that are driven very fast on the straight and not very well in the corners, and it was a bit of a pain, to say the least, and can't believe that they didn't manage to pick up that bright yellow Aquila, and so it lapped us instantly, bloody hell. Pleased to see, with my other hat on, pleased to see the Strata Mosler flying. That was being driven really nicely, and looked like it was handling really well. So, but for us, small hiccup, little bit of a worry, not sure why it's come loose, and it's very hot in that cockpit. I've forgotten about front engine cars. They're very warm.
And you've taken the opportunity to adjust the strategy, so Michael's got in the car now.
Well, I was due in about 10 minutes, and basically what we're going to do is we're just going to cycle all the drivers through, just to get their eye in. There's no point double or triple stinting, and besides that, it's too bloody hot. So in the evening, we'll get down to double stinting. Some of the younger lads may fancy a triple. But that won't be for me. No, but so far, okay. Bit of a hiccup.
And this G55's got a few upgrades on it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's different from last weekend at British GT. We got four-way dampers on it, which have made a big difference. But there's still a long way to go on those yet. Engine's the same as we had. We've got a nice little blip on the gear shift, so we don't have to heel and toe that, which is quite nice. And it's handling really nicely. The corner entry speed is bloody phenomenal. I followed the Aquila through Abbey, and I was surprised. I just kept up with it quite nicely, but as soon as you got on the loud pedal, it was sayonara, baby.
Oh well, we enjoyed watching you. It's as you say, a glitch, still a long way to go, and you're not the only one to have problems, so you won't give up just yet, will you?
Oh God, no. Well, the start was really interesting because everyone seemed to take their brain out, and there's cars chopping and oh my God, it was like Formula First 1988, Brands Hatch, my God. So I just had to sit back and keep out of trouble, and paid for it with losing 1 or 2 seconds on that. But to be fair, we settled on a pace about what I was doing behind those cars, so and I was just kind to the car and looking after it.
Absolutely right. Thank you, Martin, for your time, and go and have a rest. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Martin. Back to you, Ben.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chris. Unfortunately, it's now time for you to dust off your German, because we've lost into the pit lane the number 4 car, the number 7 car that was running in 4th place with Dominic Schwager at the wheel, the Marco Schelp BMW Z4. So that has pitted in. The reference Martin Short was making to Formula First at Brands Hatch in 1988 is when Martin came second in a disagreement with the starting gantry in a fairly significant Formula First shunt there.
You were there, I take it, Ben.
I have the Autosport at home recording the event.
Do you have the race day programme?
I do have that as well. Yes.
There you go.
Were you there, Paul?
I was commentating on it. And Martin told me all about it. Anyway, yes, we do have the number 7 BMW Tishner Motorsport car in the pits. This could well be the first of its scheduled stops. 75 litres of fuel. The problem is with some of these cars, they have a large fuel tank. They're only allowed to put in 75 litres. So you have this conundrum of not actually knowing, from our point of view, how much fuel they've got on board at any one time. The number 1 car, Whit Gamsky, coming in as well. So this could be the time when scheduled pit stops are beginning to happen, and they're just putting the 75 litres in, but they may have not started with 120 litres or whatever the tank will take, so it's not entirely obvious what's going on necessarily at this point. We'll have to wait until the race unfolds till we get a better idea of fuel consumption.
We're almost an hour into the race, and Whit Gamsky into pit lane. I wouldn't be surprised if that's Whit going to hand over to Phil Dryborough there, and making that an early regular pit stop. So those two in the pit lane. The Aquila continues to circulate. We still have no update as to what was the reason for the summons to race control for the team manager. That car is getting a little bit congested, possibly through the 81 car chopping across the front of number 61, as the sun also just beginning to dip down now. This is, although it's only 5:30, and it's been very warm today, due to the time of the year it is, we're going to have very warm weather with a reasonably long night as the Aquila completes the 25th lap of the race, so we will have squeezed in 26 and a bit laps by the time we get an hour in.
Car 80 going remarkably slowly, rather sadly, past me there, and he's going on the inside down Wellington Straight, staying well out of the way. That's Andy Hack in the Syncro Motorsport Honda Civic. He looks as though he could just about gentle that one home, but it's going to take a while.
Sorry, Paul.
No, I'll start an anorak moment now, because one of the things that fascinates me is record distances. We are on schedule if it stays like this. And bear in mind, we have had a little bit of a safety car for a record distance. And remember last year, of course, we were way off it because of the weather. It's slightly more complicated than you might think, because, of course, last year the track was different. They didn't do the new loop last year. They did the old bridge corner configuration of Silverstone. So it's the first time they've raced on this circuit. But in order to get record distance, we need to be running somewhere around 24 laps an hour, and we're comfortably inside that at the moment.
Although, as a dyed-in-the-wool anorak, Paul, surely you'd know you shouldn't get excited about record distances until about midday on the Sunday.
You're right. Absolutely.
I have to say, guys, read Martin Short's interview just a few moments ago. I decided, in the interest of science, to pop downstairs, stick the car on, and my little car, which is just sat here doing nothing under the commentary box, is showing 32 degrees, and it's doing absolutely nothing. So I wouldn't like to contemplate what the temperatures are getting up to in some of those cockpits.
It's a very good point.
It's probably quite warm where you are as well, isn't it, Robin?
In here, it's about 302. I was listening to Martin, and you could actually hear it in his voice, couldn't you? He wasn't kidding when he said it was warm out there.
He was a bit sweaty, it has to be said.
Lovely.
It's nice. It's nice in the shade of the garages in the pit lane, by the way, just to wind you all up. I'm paying for it by doing a lot of walking at the moment. We just saw the number 1 Ferrari 430 come in. Whit Gamsky, the team leader, having made the scheduled stop. To be in for 90 seconds is the minimum time in the pits. They refuelled the car and put a maximum of 75 litres in. They have 3 dump cans of 25 litres each if they want to fill them right up, or they can just keep topping them up. I think they've put 1 or 2 in. I got there just halfway through the stop. Into that car now has gone Phil Dryborough. So Phil has got in. I'm about to find out what happened to the car that was in 4th place, the German team. But an update on the Coxes in the 77 BMW. The car cut out around the lap. They weren't exactly sure what it was, other than it was electrical related. And, quote, they had a little waggle around with the wires, sent it back out. Seems to be all right now, fingers crossed.
We've also got the race leader in as well, Chris. Sorry to have you running up and down like Usain Bolt in the pit lane there, although I think the distance covered by the end of the race will be more in tune with Haile Gebrselassie. But the race leaders in suspect that's probably a routine pit stop because we're exactly an hour into the race. So what I'll do briefly is run you down the classification as things go. We've got a stop and go penalty for the race leader, Bob Berridge, a 30-second stop and go penalty for overtaking before the green flag. So as we thought when the safety car did peel in that he went a little bit prematurely, and that's exactly the case. So a 30-second stop and go for car number 6, the race leader.
Now, how much, I know it's a guess, Ben, but how much would you say for the people down this neck of the woods who can't see the straight, what do you reckon a 30-second penalty is actually going to cost in time?
It's going
about a minute,
yeah,
45, 50 seconds.
And their lead at the moment is, well, it's going down, of course, isn't it? I'm just trying to see where it's going to put them back to.
It was 15 seconds when it came in, so it'll put him down to third.
Right, thank you.
But of course he can't take it on while he's in the pits. He'll have to take it either on in one of the next 3 laps. He can't take a penalty while he's in the pits.
Sure, it's got to be a unique stop, the penalty, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. But at the hour mark, it was car number 6 that had the lead from in second place car number 4, the Strata 21 Mosler.
Unless that was the stop and go.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yes, and maybe that was the stop and go rather than the scheduled stop.
Well, I didn't see the black flag being proffered, but that's largely, I think, due to my...
radio. They'll do it over the radio.
Are you talking about the Aquila?
Yes.
It was just in for the stop-go, it was right behind me. So that was the stop-go that it's just served.
Right, thank you for that, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. So, into the lead of the race, therefore, is Callum Lockie in car number 4 in the Mosler. And his advantage over the Aquila we will give you momentarily. Looking into the distance for the Aquila, this is going to maybe even lead to a promotion up into second position for the Porsche. It's going to be touch and go there, I think, for the number 5 Porsche. So it is the Aquila in the hour in car number 6 that was leading. Second place was number 4, but is now the leader, the Strata Mosler, and in third place remains the number 5 car, the ARC Bratislava Porsche. Fourth place is number 31, the RGN Motorsport Nissan. Fifth place is number 3, the Top Cats Mosler car number 3. In sixth place is car number 2, the Eclipse Ferrari of the McInerney's plus Phil Keane. Seventh place is car number 27, that's the Top Cats Marcos. Eighth place is car number 61, the Scuderia Vittoria Ginetta G50. Ninth place is car 66, that is the Dorset Sports Porsche 996. 10th place is number 68, the Intersports BMW. 11th place is car number 50, and that is the Vantage Racing Aston Martin. 12th place is number 49, the Nicholas Mee Racing Aston. 13th place is number 54, the MP Motorsport BMW M3. In 14th place is car number 46, and that is the Motion Sport Lotus Elise. 15th place is car 70, and that is the McLeod Holden Astra. In 16th place is car number 1, having had its pit stop, that's the Witt Gamsky Ferrari. 17th place is number 63, and that is the Strata 21 BMW. 18th place is number 48, the Bristol Labels BMW M3. In 19th place is number 58. They've come up very well, having failed to start. That's the GT Classics Porsche 993. And then rounding out the top 20 is that Roll Centre Racing Ginetta G55. In 21st position and leading Class 4 is car number 81, and that is the APO Sport Seat of Alex Osborne. In 22nd place, again, good performance from them, is car number 83, the CTR Lotus Elise, Zubin Randaria at the wheel. 23rd position is car 52. 24th is number 64. 25th is 65. 26th is 84. 27th is 79. 28th is 88. 29th is 89. 30th is 85. 31st is 91. 32nd is number 8. And 33rd is 94. 34th 77. 35th 99. 36th is 57. 37th is 82, 38th is 87, 39th is 78, 40 is 93, 41st is 90, 42nd is 86, 43rd is 75, 44th is 62, 45th, and still in the pits, is car 7, 46th is number 80, 47th is 92, 48th is 95, 49th is 59, 50th is 47, 51st is 56, 52nd is 28, 53rd is 53, 54th is 45, 55th is number 60, 56th is 51, 57th is 55, and 58th is car 51. So that is a very quick rundown through the order. Apologies, it was mainly numerics. Paul?
Just to say that we've had the new race leader in, having had a change of leaders described because of the stop and go. The number 4, Mosler, the Stratacar, is in the pits, and coming in for its proper pit stop now is Bob Berridge, coming in for what will be certainly a refuelling stop, and probably also a driver change, which, if everything we've been told is correct, should be Bob Berridge handing over to Evans.
So that would be Gareth Evans who would take over from that one. Likewise, I wonder if Callum Lockie has decided to hand that over to Manuel Cintrano. We'll find out in due course. So I guess the question now is, how long can the number 5 ARC Bratislava Porsche go? We've got somebody who is crawling into the pit lane. Now, whether they're out of fuel or have got something a little bit more amiss, I don't know. It's one of the Porsches that is entering the pit lane very slowly. So that one, the number, unfortunately, a little bit too low on the car for us to quite pick up here from the commentary box. Be able to pick up from the red dot, though, in a couple of moments, who it is who has come into the pit lane. It's the Scuderia Vittoria Porsche 996, number 64, that's come in, but that was entering at a fairly diminished pace. So this opening round of pit stops, at least for some of the thirstier Class 1 cars, happening more or less on the hour mark. Now, how that will shake out the order remains to be seen. Continuing in 4th position, though, is Alex Buncombe in the RGM Motorsports Nissan, and actually the stop-go penalty, plus all of the other pit stops, mean that car is now back onto the lead lap of the race, just from the Mosler, and across the line now in 5th position goes the Top Cats Mosler car number 3, just looking for the ARC Bratislava car. Here it comes now, Sean Edwards. Now, will this be for Sean Edwards to take over the lead of the race? Yes, it is. So car number 5 now is the new race leader, but that car is yet to make its pit stop, and it's going to have gained about 2/3 of a lap if not a little bit more, almost a whole lap on the cars that have pitted in.
Do we know who Callum Lockie handed over to?
Callum Lockie would have been Manuel Cintrano if he did that driver change.
Right.
I suspect we'll know if he's done the driver change, because he'll present himself to Chris Hartley for an interview as soon as he's towed himself down.
What, Callum?
Yes. He's never been known to have a chat, has he?
Never knowingly under-interviewed.
Yeah, well, last year he presented himself up in the commentary box.
I'm sure he will again.
For a bit of a conversation.
He's always a regular visitor to the commentary box at the Nürburgring as well, although I think that might have something to do with the hospitality that we get there, but he's always a visitor to the commentary box, and no fool for that, because a good way to find out what's going on in the race as well, find out what the commentators are talking about, and then you know where the competition is.
We've got another summons to race control. It is car 92, the Smarts for you. Maybe not living up to their name, because they have been pulled over to race control, although the only penalty we've seen thus far was for the Aquila, that stop and go penalty. So it is the ARC Bratislava car that has the lead, but is yet to pit in.
This'll please you, Ben. 2nd and 3rd, just about to come past your nose. There's absolutely nothing much between them. They're coming around Luffield now, I think.
Yes, here they come. So it's Paul White, and then we are yet to see the Aquila. It could have been the McGregor Ultima that's in the mixer. Yes, it is. But no, you were quite correct, Robin, because in fact the Mosler number 4 has only just got ahead of Alex Buncombe, who is yet to pit in the number 31 Nissan. The pair of them separated by just 3.8 seconds. But the gap to watch really is going to be the one between who we presume to be Manuel Cintrano and the Aquila, as into the pit lane now comes the ARC Bratislava Porsche 997 of Sean Edwards, and if that is going to be a driver change, then it's going to be the Slovakian Miro Konopka who takes over that. So Miro Konopka will be taking over the now race leading car that makes its first pit stop after 70 minutes of the race. So of the cars that we're awaiting still to see in the pits, well, we haven't yet had into the pit lane number 31, which is the RGM Motorsport Nissan. Also, more interestingly, we haven't had in the Class 1 Ferrari 430, number 2, the Eclipse Racing of Michael McInerney.
Yes, that is a very cunning run at the moment, isn't it? He's there or thereabouts. He's definitely on the pace and just creeping up the order without worrying anybody too much.
And of course, that's particularly interesting because arguably Michael is probably the least rapid of all of the three drivers in that car, because Phil Keane and Sean McInerney, particularly Phil, who will be taking that car over, is a very rapid peddler indeed.
Give me a shout what you're going to do, and I'll give an
We've been talking to a number of drivers from countries around the world. John Martin, come all the way from Australia, or maybe not quite that far. Tell us where you live.
I live in Silverstone Village at the moment. It's for sort of 9 months of the year, and then I go home at sort of Christmas time. Quite a bit more happens over here. Also been involved in like the Super League Formula this year, so it's a good base to base yourself in England and most around through Europe and abroad. So it's good.
It's great for us at the Britcar 24 Hour to have such a high-profile driver as yourself. What brought you to the Britcar? Was it any particular reason why you're racing it today?
Just like looking to the future, try and do some endurance sort of based racing, so I wouldn't mind trying to get into like Le Mans sort of stuff next year and in the future. So that was the main reason, just to gain experience and with the traffic and driving at night. Never done any of that before, never even sort of driven anything really other than that. It's just good to gather experience in it, and got a great opportunity from Nigel. He offered me this, so it's really good. And Bob Berridge sort of contacted me and given me up. So yesterday obviously went quite well. Today will be as good.
As you say, it's a quick car. I mean, it's pole last year, pole again this year. Didn't quite get to the end last year. You hoping that you can go all the way and take a picture of this year?
Yeah, obviously that's what you aim for, isn't it? Whether it happens or not, we'll see in 24 hours. But it's looking good so far.
In terms of your single-seater career, you're very much on an upward curve. I guess Formula 1 is the dream. Is that still very much on your radar?
It's always on the radar, but it's sort of, trying to get there now. It's sort of not getting any younger, and not on a driver development program anymore. Or I've been on one, but it's sort of hard to do it unless you are in certain circumstances. So just looking to do sort of more endurance-based stuff. I wouldn't, love to do like something in the next couple of years. That's my goal at the moment. You never discount Formula 1. That's always been the dream, but veer off that now, I think.
Well, thanks very much for talking to us, John. Have a great race. Best of luck.
No worries, thanks.
It's gone back out, but that lost a lot of time in the garage, and the driver change, the Bob Berridge driver change, was as you expected. It was Gareth Evans that got in, and in terms of the fuel that went into that car, they put 1 3/4 dumps into it, so something along the lines of 40-45 litres of fuel went into the Aquila.
But did they not have another problem, Chris? Because we were suggesting that was a longer stop than some of the others, particularly if they only put a dump and a half in.
There was no real activity on the car, so I'll go and investigate for you. I'll perhaps try and grab a word with Bob Berridge, but once they got the fuel in, it looked like a fairly slick stop, so we'll go and find out for you.
Thank you very much for that, because as I say, it seems to have lost more ground than we would have expected then.
It certainly would, Paul, and that last lap as well from Gareth Evans was much slower, 2 minutes 23.346, so it could be just that Gareth isn't quite as experienced as some of the other drivers in that car, or it could be they've got an underlying problem. Talking of underlying problems, back in again is the ultimate, Jonathan McGregor, so they're having all sorts of problems. Also, we've got word on our timing screen that team manager of car number 1, Wick Gamsky, MJC Racing, has been summoned to the clerk of the course. I presume that's not for tea and cakes and to admire the sunset, but is for some possible indiscretion in the pit lane or out on track. So they are being summoned to the clerk of the course. Into the pits at quite a rate came the Dorset Sports Porsche 996. Paul Winter has been the man starting that car. Paul, a rapid driver, and he is going to be handing over to our double winner from earlier on today. Graham Munday is going to be driving the next stint of that car, and that car has come up into 9th position, also making very good progress. Very pleasing to see, as well as the Intersports racing car with Kevin Clark at the wheel. So they are up into the top 10, up in 7th position, and yet again to make its pit stop is Scuderia Vittoria, Ginetta G50, Dan Dennis, who's that car's regular pilot in the Avon Times British GT Championship, is at the wheel and up there in 7th position, and not too far adrift of the Aquila, and actually closing in on the Aquila as well at the rate of 2 seconds or so a lap. So in terms of the race lead, well, after the first round of pit stops, in the lead of the race, it is car number 4, which is the Strata 21 Mosler, Manuel Cintrón at wheel. Second place, and yet to make its pit stop, is car number 31, the RGM Motorsport Nissan, with Alex Bunker at wheel. Third place is car number 2, the Eclipse Ferrari 430, also yet to make its pit stop, with Michael McInerney at the wheel. And then in 4th place is car number 5, the ARC Bratislava car, and if they had the driver change, then that is Miro Konopka, who is now at the wheel of that one. Again, a very slow lap there from the Aquila, a 2 minutes 34.239, and the car not sounding overwhelmingly healthy either as it crossed the line. The Scuderia Vittoria Ginetta has peeled into the pit, so that chase is over as they have their first pit stop of the race. So that's one to watch, Robin. As
Shane Edwards, why do you think you're one of our top Brits, if not the top Brit in the field for this year's race? You know, it's a big event now, isn't it, Britcar 24?
Yeah, obviously it's growing every year. They've done a good job this year, and actually my first time competing in this race. I competed in many 24-hour races before, like Spa and Dubai and other places, but first time in Silverstone. Obviously I've raced here a lot in the past, but yeah, great to be here.
You're having a great season racing in the Porsche Supercar. You remember the chance for the championship, still top 3. What are your hopes going into the final race or two?
Well, obviously it's difficult now. I got punted off at Monza, I had a big crash there, so I lost my second place in the championship. But still, mathematically, we're in the chance, and we'll never give up until the fat lady sings as such. We've got 2 races in Abu Dhabi, and we're 25 points behind with 44 remaining, so hopefully Rene has a bit of a problem, and we can actually try and win the championship there. Also in the German Carrera Cup, I'm second just behind Nick Tandy, another Brit. So we'll be fighting out the last round in Hockenheim, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm pretty sure we have a good chance of winning it still.
In terms of the career path, I mean, have you got a genuine aim of where you want to try and go as a racing driver?
Sure, I mean, obviously I'm sort of at the top of GT levels now, in the GT cars, in the Porsche Cup, the Porsche Carrera Cup. I also raced in the American Le Mans Series and the Le Mans Series, so a bit of a full program at the moment. But for sure, future for me, I'd love to get up to the LMP cars, and with Porsche bringing their program out in 2014, I hope to be involved with the GT program first, and maybe move on to the LMPs in the future. But I'd love to win them all overall. But at the moment, I'm happy. I have something like 35 race weekends this year, and pretty much all in the Porsche, and a couple of the Mercedes SLS. So I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we can just keep moving forward and winning the championships.
In terms of obviously your pedigree, your racing father, your dad Guy Edwards, who's someone actually I'm a big fan of it. I read his book. I was racing myself, trying to get sponsorship. How involved is your dad in your racing program? Is he behind you, supporting you all the way?
Yeah, he supports me 100%. Unfortunately, he has some health problems at the moment. He's had a stroke 6 years ago, so you know he helped me a lot through the karting phases and the early single-seater part. But sort of 2006 onwards was the last time he came to the race, and I've been on my own and doing a job out of it, but he's there. I talk to him almost every day and supportive of me, so hopefully he'll be along to a couple of races in the future and supporting me all the way.
Exactly, you've been proud of him, and I've been talking to your teammates, they're raving about how fast you are around here. What's the secret?
Obviously, driving a lot of Porsches, and obviously know the car very well. Obviously, being the Porsche, we've got the most competitive Porsche championship in the world. I know this circuit from racing in the 411 Grand Prix and many races before. I've done LMS here and FIA GT2, so obviously working at the race school as well in the past for maybe 4 or 5 years. So I know every inch of this track, and yeah, my teammates obviously benefiting from that, having to watch the video and me explain it a little bit, but 24-hour race, you know, it's not like Supercar. You've got to keep it easy, conserve the tyres, conserve the car until the end. And it's not about being fastest, you've got to have a good pace because the cars are reliable in this day and age, but you've got to get to the end, be there fighting the last sort of 3 hours, and then we can hopefully push and try and you know, win our class and hopefully maybe even fight for the overall win.
Well, hopefully I'll be talking to you in about 22 hours time on the top step. Thanks for talking to us, mate.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Back to you guys.
Pit lane comes Phil Dryber to serve his pit stop. So effectively the gap between the cars, the race leading car, the number 4 Mosler, and the first of the next cars up that has pitted, the LC Bratislava Porsche, the gap is 70 seconds, 1 minute 9.601, and then it's a further 33 seconds back to number 27 Top Cats Racing Marcos, which is also yet to pit in 5th position, and then it's the Aquila in 6th, which is the third of the cars to have pitted. So the race just beginning to settle down. Still plenty of action. So the car that was in 7th, that's the number 50 Aston Martin we were just mentioning, that is into the pit lane, and that should elevate the Intersport BMW number 68 Kevin Clark up into 7th position.
At Road Atlanta, they've had 3 safety cars so far. So they've done worse than us.
All of the guys in Class 4, except for those who have, I think I'm right in saying those that have diagnosed problems, as it were, have yet to change. Their fuel consumption, of course, as it ought to be, is not quite as rough. And number 81, I think it's 81, he's up to around 16th place, isn't he? And the CTR Developments car, they're both sort of fairly well up in the overall order.
They are. It's Alex Osborne at the wheel of the number 81 Seat, and then Zubin Randaria at the wheel of the 83 CTR Developments Elise. It's a good spot, Robin. 16th and 17th in the race overall. And then now 3rd in class, we talked about it earlier on, is the Red Camel Seat, number 84, that started from the pit lane. They're up to 21st in the race overall, and 3rd in class. It's been an absolutely storming drive from them. And so at the wheel of that car, because I think he does deserve a mention, is Henk Joyson. And so Henk Joyson has piloted that car past the best number of 40 cars or so up the order. So they could be very pleased with their first hour and 20 minutes work in the 2011 Britcar 24 hours. That last lap, the Aquila getting back up to pace of 2 minutes 16.495, which Robin and Paul possibly leads me to think that it could just be a case of Gareth Evans actually getting himself comfortable with the car, doing a couple of bedding in laps, and then beginning to move towards the pace Bob Berridge was setting.
Just feeling comfortable with the traffic and the amount of grip that's available, whether there's oil down on the circuit. No harm in that. We'll have to see how it continues to go. Of course, reliability is the big question mark hanging over the Aquila. Dropped down to 6th place now. He's still a lap behind the race leader, who is still the Strata Mosley, number 4. We still haven't heard from Callum Lockie, have we?
I just wonder.
Star in the pit lane, or rock star, should I say? Dan?
Definitely rock.
You look like a rock star. Tell us a little bit about what brings you to Silverstone for this year's event.
Well, Silverstone, I've been hearing for years what a great event it was. And so finally we make it here as Jet Black Racing. Jet Black has been a band, common thread of mine as I played in larger bands over the years as a guitar player. And now we've come and made the marriage between rock and roll and racing. And this is Jet Black Racing. The band is also Jet Black Racing, the new lineup. Known people, and what brings us here to Silverstone, really, I have a Danish crew, I have Danish drivers, yet I'm an American, and everyone asks, what's the connection there? How do you make that happen? I toured with the ALMS opening races with guitar, playing the national anthem several years ago. Became friends with Corvette Racing, subsequently becoming friends with some of the drivers. Jan Magnussen, I'm sure everyone out there knows who Jan is. Dear friend of mine. When Jan Magnussen invites you for a party, you show. So you end up in Denmark and becoming friends with these great people. And the Danish people, their culture, their attitude toward life in general is just so great that it's so infectious that, you end up family immediately. And so, a lot of these guys pre-existed in big race teams. We got Ronnie Bremer, who also drives for General Motors and has a long history. We have Honest Maigard, that kind of thing. And so we put some different shirts on them and sent them out there, and that's what we're doing.
Rock and roll music.
We call it race and roll.
I like it. So do you race yourself?
You know what? I have my racing license, but again, when you got Honest Maigard, Dan Traeger, Ronnie Bremer in the car, you continue to be a guitar player and not pretend that you're a race car driver. So I'll let the racing. I'll leave the racing up to the guys.
So in terms of this event, what are you hoping to get out of it? Is it about having some fun, or is it about going out and winning?
No. We're always in it to win it. We're definitely wanting to. This team is brand new. Our first race was Dubai in this January here in 2011, but our goal is to just grow in leaps and bounds, and that's really what we've done here. We're figuring out a fuel problem in the car as we speak, but what we're looking to do is bring in the GT cars in the following seasons and whatnot, and bring in more the technical crew that we need and for that, and Yeah, so certainly this is not a weekend warrior thing for us. This is something that we want to win, and this is something that we want to use as a learning tool.
But it really is a truly international event, Dan. Thanks for talking to us. Best of luck, and good luck with the rock and roll.
All right, man. Rock and roll.
Back to you guys.
So that's currently in 11th position, but closing in on Pete Story at a rate of 7 seconds a lap, and he's only 21 seconds back, so it's going to be probably 3 or 4 laps before the car that won last year's race, of course, moves back into the top 10. We are rapidly coming up to the 90 minutes completed duration. We've got 22 hours and 34 minutes remaining in the race, and we're still yet to see pit stops from 2 of the top 3. As I say that, into the pit lane now comes the Eclipse Ferrari 430, so they've gone almost 90 minutes as Michael McInerney peels into the pits. Be very surprised if he doesn't hand over to Phil Keane, and when Phil takes over, we could expect to see that car setting a slightly steadier pace than it did earlier on. Not to say that Michael McInerney's been slow, far from it, but Phil Keane is probably a good couple of seconds a lap quicker on any given lap than Michael McInerney, so that is going to promote up into 3rd position the LC Bratislava car, and Chris Hartley is there to describe the action.
Yeah, just heading down to the Eclipse pits now. It is Phil Keane, the ex-Formula Renault racer, that's going to get in. I think the plan, I was speaking to Sean on the grid, the plan is that Michael will go in again after Phil, because Michael doesn't really like driving in the dark, so Sean's first in, he's going to be in the pitch black, so Phil Keane's going to get into that Ferrari next. The 64 Porsche 996 Cup, Dave Bennett entered car. Carlo Araman told me it was a drive shaft that had gone on that, and just as he told me, they presented him with a snapped drive shaft, so that's why that one's out and into the garage. Expect the number 63 BMW to fly very soon, because it's ex-Le Mans racer Adam Sharp that's about to get into that car, and it's about to have a fresh new set of boots, brand new slicks put onto it. Adam, a very, very quick driver, has been racing at national level. He's BMW this season, really, but he is a very quick and very experienced international race. He used to be a works driver for the Morgan team, so that car could well be worth watching out for in Class 3. John Griffin just strapping in his man in the Eclipse Ferrari, and Phil Keane revs up. Looks like a slick stop for them, and away they go with no problem. So good work from the pit crew there, and the Ferrari about to go back out.
Chris, a very quick question for you. Do you know who's at the wheel of the number 4 Mosler, whether it's Callum Lockie double stinting or it's Manuel Cintrano?
I don't, but I'll go and find out for you.
Thank you. Continues to set a very fine pace. The last lap of 2 minutes 12, which means its advantage has gone out now to 40 seconds over the RGM Motorsport Nissan, which is yet to pit in. And then we're going to have up into 3rd position once more the number 5 ARC Bratislava Porsche 997, and then we have in 5th place another of the cars that's yet to pit in. That is the Top Cat Marcos, number 27. So that car, we are still seeing the pit lane again. A fairly lengthy stint for that one. It's Neil Huggins who is starting in that car, and then up into 6th place we have got the number 6 car, the Aquila, with Gareth Evans.
So Mosler, Ben, the leading car, number 4, is going very well indeed, isn't it? And remember that Martin Short, who knows his Moslers, said to us when we were interviewing him how well that car seemed to be handling, and it just, I mean, on that last lap he took another 4.5 seconds, or increased his lead by 4.5 seconds. So yeah, he is being able to just continue to extend his lead. It was some 24 seconds 5 laps ago, and he's now brought it out in just 5 laps up to, as I say, something like 40 seconds, and continuing to open it up. He goes through and completes another lap now, so it is going very nicely, and any moment now I expect Chris to tell us that Callum Lockie has decided to stay in and do a double stint. He's a bit of an Iron Man sometimes, Callum, isn't he?
He is. Now what's interesting there, Paul, is that casting our mind back to Brian Jones' grid walk, Brian was saying that they've made a very conscious decision with that car to soften it up and set it up. It was Manuel Cintrano, I think he was saying, they've made the decision to take it away from an absolute lap time pace and set it up very much to be easy handling, easy driving for the 24 hours, and that would appear at this stage to be working very much in their favour.
Yeah, and very often as well, you need a car that that you can change line with. When you're having to come up across slower traffic a lot of the time, it's important to have a car that handles in order to change the line and get past the slower traffic, rather than, as I suspect we were seeing with the Aquila, it was being driven on the limit, but some of the lap times were a little bit slower, whether he was coming on yellow flag areas or whether it was just that he came across traffic and he couldn't then adjust the line of the car as easily. It's just a theory, but on a race like this, it's very important to have a car that is not only quick in absolute terms, but is quick as it gets through the traffic as well.
Yeah, I think as an absolute illustration of that, Paul, I'm just sitting here and I'm not even looking over my shoulder at what's coming behind me at Maggots and Beckett's, just looking straight ahead, and there isn't a moment, really, there certainly isn't more than, say, a second when there's any clear track at all. There is traffic at the moment all the way round. It is just very, very busy out there. So I think if you can achieve a setup that does make carving past the slower cars a little easier, it's definitely the way to go. And I have to say, 3 cheers at this moment for fuel economy. We've now got 5 of the little Class 4 cars into the top 20. And no driver changes for any of them. So they must be hairy hot as hell in there.
We have also got back into the pit lane now, the AFC Bratislava car, so car number 5, Miro Konopka, has come back into the pits now. It's an unscheduled pit stop there because they've only just been in.
Ben, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised and quite impressed to hear that the answer to the question on the Mosler, the Strata 21 Mosler, it's not Callum Lockie that's gone back in, it's Javier Mochillo, it's a Spanish driver, so it's a Spaniard that's setting these quick lap times at the moment.
And we're completely wrong there as well, because their second driver was down our sheet as being Manuel Cintrano, so wrong on every count. Thank you for that, Chris. Now that is very interesting indeed, because Manuel Cintrano is not normally quite on the pace of Manuel Cintrano, so that could be very interesting. They can maintain that pace over the course of the race. So we've got the number 5 car back in the pits from 3rd position, so that's going to see them shortly shuffled down the order, because we've got the number 27 Top Cats Marcos that is still circulating now after 90 minutes. So effectively the drivers who haven't yet had the driver change or their pit stop have done more or less a Grand Prix distance. We've also got back into the pit lane as well the number 50 Vantage Aston Martin, so that car is back in, I presume that's probably now Tom Black at the wheel, so they are back into the pit lane. This will come as no surprise to anybody. The number 2 Eclipse Ferrari with Phil King at the wheel has just done its best lap of the race, so 2 minutes 13.233. It also means that car is now the fastest car out on the track and is closing in on the Aquila at a rate of 3 seconds a lap. He's only 20 seconds adrift of it, so we could see the change there for 5th and 6th fairly shortly.
Interesting, because they do need it, don't they? Because the Aquila's had 2 pit stops to the 1 of the Ferrari, and the Aquila's ahead up to now. So yes, the McInerney car needs to get a bit of a pedal on.
Certainly does, although except to say that in terms of the qualifying pace, that he's even still in touch at this stage is still, I think, fairly impressive, as the jet black Clio peels into pit lane. I suspect that's probably actually for the first of their scheduled pit stops of this 24-hour race. So that car is some way down the order, down in 42nd position. This is its 4th pit stop of the race, as the race leader Javier Morcillo crosses the line and sets another very impressive lap of 2 minutes 12.783. And what's even more impressive as well is that this isn't the car that's normally raced by Manuel Cintrano or Javier Morcillo, because they dominantly race in the Azteca Racing car, whereas this is the Strata 21 car that is Callum Lockie and Paul White's standard steed.
Okay, well, we're outside a rather unusual pit garage here, where the driver's actually in the pits, effectively in the race. Tell us a little bit what you're doing here.
So we've got a rather impressive race simulator there running our factor. What we're trying to do is match the lap times, do as many laps as people in the real race on the simulator in a DR9. Yes.
So those of us watching in might recognise you from the Gadget Show. So it's a Gadget Show team?
Yes, a Gadget Show team. There's 3 of us. There's myself, Holly and Jason. Jason, I'm sure, will be one of the best, because he's been practicing for days on his kitchen table. I haven't been doing that, but I will do my best, and I'm sure Holly will be brilliant.
Well, you're going to take us to 24 hours
Yes.
So you still got the same issues the guys have got in terms of sleep deprivation?
Sort of, yes. And we've got quite a splendid route home I'm going to investigate at the moment. Hopefully that will provide a partial solution. So,
so you've ever done any racing yourself?
Oh, I love cars. I have driven around racing tracks a few times, but not actually competitively. I don't have a competition license, but nevertheless, I do. I love cars, much rather more than computer games, I have to say.
Well, yeah, a lot of the F1 drivers they actually do genuinely test on simulators. So, how realistic is this thing?
Well, it's pretty realistic. We've just quite a lot of things, a lot of sort of parameters on the car. The engine's blown up because he was going over the rev limiter too often. So there's a few things to catch you out. Yeah.
It's very nice. Well, thanks for talking to us. We'll see you in about 20 hours' time. See how you're looking.
Yes.
Then that's when things start to go wrong, and we've already had cars having problems with oil temperature. I mean, the Titian Motorsport BMW Z4, that was one of my tips for this race, and a simple problem, just like keeping the oil down at proper temperature, has done it for them. That car's been in the pits for ages now.
Has Wittkamski picked up another penalty, or is that one from before?
That's the bonus penalty for speeding while serving the previous one.
So it's a compound penalty. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Have we got some news from Chris in the pit lane?
Yeah, you'd probably like to know why the ARC Bratislava Porsche is coming.
So is this your first time at a race meeting?
No, I absolutely love racing and I love motorsports, and I've been to Silverstone actually a couple of times. I came to a Grand Prix a few years back. I was bitterly disappointed I couldn't come this year, but no, I love being at the track. It kind of feels like home. However, not virtually. It's a little bit different.
So you're doing a virtual race. You're not tempted to have a go at the real thing?
I'd love to. I would absolutely love to. I came here last week and I went out on Snow Circuit with a great young driver called Jan, who's from the Driver Academy, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So I was really looking forward to this. But being on the road, I love cars and kind of driving is completely different from being on a game and doing it virtually. So fairly confident with the lap times that I'm doing and hopefully improving them, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be very tough.
Are you finding it? How's the competition between the three of you guys?
There isn't any. To be quite honest, we know Jace. He's got his race face on, and he is the master when it comes to this kind of thing. So we are expecting Jace to have the best times and the quickest times and be a saviour. At the end of the day, we'll be good. Me and John will be good. I've been managing to pull some half decent times out, so I've only been on there for like an hour and a half. But yeah, Jace is definitely the one that we're all cheering on. He'll pip it to the post, as they say.
Thanks for talking to us. We'll see you on the main event next year, yeah?
Yeah, hopefully. Just need a sponsor if you're out there. Thanks very much.
So that means Nicholas Me Racing, number 49 Aston Martin, is then going to move back up into the lead of the class. So we are yet to see the Phil Driver piloted, number 1 MJC Ferrari, the Wittkamski also owns car, serve its second stop and go penalty, plus 16 seconds that they've gained for speeding in the pit lane. We're also yet to see the ARC Bratislava car re-emerge through sector 1, so work being done to cool that one off. Well, certainly not cooling off at all is Phil Keane at the wheel of the Eclipse Ferrari, number 2. He's just done that car's best lap of the race again, a 2 minutes 12.171. The only car that's setting comparable.
Between the Moser and the second place Nissan 370Z, but that's on lap 41. On lap 31, the gap was just 12 seconds. So, let's say 45 seconds he's pulled out in 10 laps. He's not pulling. He is the fastest car on the circuit at the moment. The Aquila at the moment isn't quite as quick. Although, having said that, the Aquila's just put it in its fastest lap of the race, although not the fastest lap of the race, which was still done by the Aquila when Bob Berridge was behind the wheel. That was earlier on. But it certainly, as the temperatures cool, as the air temperatures cool, the track will rubber in, and speeds should increase, lap times should drop.
Well, into the pit lane has come the number 1 Ferrari to serve its second penalty of the race. We've also got the team